All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Phoenix, and I am once again here to talk to you about the Singularity. Today, I am joined by a very special guest who is nice enough to come and talk with me about these PTB changes that are coming through, hopefully. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Doinko. I'm a Singularity main. That's you can call me L, or you may call me Doinko, or you may call me whatever you feel like calling me.
Yep. So we're both Singularity mains. We both kind of had the idea that we wanted to discuss these changes like with each other a little bit and kind of go over like what we like, what we don't like, maybe some things that we'd like to change. So just kind of getting into it, he got a laundry list of changes in this PTB. Like it's crazy the amount of changes, and most of them are like quality of life stuff too. So like
hmm
just first impressions, like overall, like without getting anything too specific, like what's your first impressions of the changes?
Um, I think I feel like they did a lot more than what I wanted personally. Um, there were a few things that I wanted where what was it? I genuinely I did want some base kit haste, but as a lot of people, as a lot of other Singularity mains worried, we didn't really want base kit Soma family photo because that
Yeah,
would be a
right.
little bit too much. But then behavior came out and they're like, oh, we're gonna give you auto aim, we're gonna give you a UI update, we're gonna give you killer instinct for free info, we're gonna give you an add-on pass. Like they went so hard, and I'm glad they did.
Yeah, like there's so many changes. Like just looking at the list of what's here, like there's so much shit going on. It's like, oh my God, I was overwhelmed reading the patch notes. I was like, oh my God, this didn't seem necessary, but I'm so happy. Um, but kind of starting off with some of the more like the minor changes, like the ones that impact the gameplay the least. Um, just thoughts about the UI change specifically. How are we feeling about that?
um Yeah, it's from what I understand, it's just in the biopod that the colors change and they're a bit more clear. I don't think there was anything else that's too different. Was there anything else that I'm missing there that's different now?
No, it's really just like the color coding, which is super nice because I mean, if you're like already comfortable playing Singularity, you don't it doesn't really affect anything, but thinking of it from like a perspective of a new player that doesn't know how the power works, like the fact that everything is color coded now, like okay, it's purple, that means I'm scanning them. It's white, my pod's on cooldown. Um,
Yes.
I love that. I'm so happy that they did that because I'm happy for like all the potential new Larry enjoyers that we're gonna have out in the world. Like I'm so happy about it.
There about the color changing like UI. There are countless times where because of the muscle memory, I think that I've slipstreamed somebody, and I think that the bar has 100%ed, and it didn't. Like maybe it got to like 95% or like 90%. My timing was just off. And the fact that now the entire screen turns white when it happens makes it really easy to be like, okay, now I can click off. Now I can hit spacebar and get out of here.
Yeah, it's very in your
It,
face about it. So it's like, okay, no, you
yes.
can't. You know, you did what you needed to do. Now, fuck off. But no, it's super. It makes everything better to understand, and I think that's something that he really needed.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's basically it for the UI, right? I don't think anything else was too different. What
No,
does
no.
it turn? Does it turn pink at some point? I can't remember. I only played a couple games of the PTB. Was it
Um.
pink when it's down, or
It's
I don't
still
remember.
red when it's EMP'd. Gosh, I'm drawing like a blank on. I know. I
I'm
think you're
literally
right though.
looking for my recording of the PTB because I swear to God it has two different colors and they mean different things, and I can't remember exactly what was what. I'm just opening up
Just know
my.
that purple was teleporting, or not teleporting. Purple was pink for teleporting. I think it might be. See, I can pull up my
Oh,
VOD.
maybe that's what it is. Like while you're scanning somebody
Like
and you're about to
yeah,
overclock.
because it's
Oh, you're right.
differentiate. Yeah,
Okay,
it's different for like if your UI is purple, you're scanning them to apply slipstream. But if it's pink, you're gonna teleport to them. So
that's
I
also really handy because there's times where you have two survivors next to each other. Maybe one of them is slipstreamed, the other one is not. And then sometimes instead of TPing to the one who's slipstreamed, I end up just slipstreaming the other survivor. So this color indication will kind of help me figure out, oh, I'm looking at the wrong person. Um, if they're kind of like too close to each other.
yeah, so it
That's
definitely
really nice.
helps. Especially given some of the other changes that he got that we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're right. Pink is teleporting to a slipstream survivor. So 100% correct on that. Um, so yeah, that's I really appreciate that change. Like it doesn't affect like my gameplay because you already kind of have the muscle memory, like you know what's going on when you know what you're doing in
Yes.
your biopod, but new players don't. So they hear a sound cue, they know something happened, and this just makes it a bit better for them. So
That's
again,
actually, yeah, it's funny. You don't think about that, right? But there's probably people who, like, if you read the power, it might not immediately make sense if you're just reading it. So I can imagine a new player going into Biopods, hearing a sound, shooting a little projectile, and going, "What the hell did I just
what
do?
happened?
Like, what is that? Did I hurt them? I don't understand."
Why didn't they get injured? Like yeah, no, but no, super good change. Yeah, I'm very pleased with that. I'm super happy for the newbies. Like they're winning right now.
Definitely, definitely.
So, another small one that he got. This one, I didn't think it was going to make that big of a difference because on paper it doesn't sound like it would. But I feel like it it affected my gameplay more than I thought it would, and that is the change where your scan progress it lingers for longer, so it only starts decaying after half a second.
Yes.
So in my games, like I was surprised at how often that actually helped because on paper it's like okay, that's not that big of a deal, but when you're actually playing a
Mm-hmm.
game and you pull off a scan that you probably, before you probably wouldn't have gotten because it cancels your progress. It's like, oh, that's actually really helpful.
Yeah, I think that this kind of has to do, or it might sort of make up for certain map tiles or certain map layouts that can be very frustrating. Where I think I played a game like last night where somebody was running through Groaning Storehouse, and I had, like, this is on live, not on PTB. And
Right.
I had their scan so close, like 3 times, but then like she went behind a box for a second, and then she went behind like a fucking pallet for like half a second. And I was like losing my mind. I was like, okay, I don't deserve that. I guess you just get that. That's fine. I have to walk over there now. And maybe with the new update, I would have gotten that scan because I basically 50%ed her like 3 times. So if it wasn't an instantaneous drop off, like I probably would have gotten that teleport. Um, it's interesting because a lot of the changes are kind of to help the survivor counterplay. There are some changes that do that,
Mm-hmm.
but this one, I think makes it a bit more painful on the survivor side. But also, like, if you find a spot where the biopod can't see you, just sit there for like half a second. Now you know the timing, and if the Larry has another pod that can see you, then then you're screwed. But that's takes a few seconds to adjust there.
Yeah, and I mean with the multiple pods, like that also comes down to like I mean for one, the survivors are expected to be like at least a little bit situationally aware, right? Like if they can
Yes.
see your biopods, if they can see your biopods, they can you can see them. But um, I think a lot of people get confused because sometimes Singularity players they'll do the camera fake, so they'll move the cursor on and off the survivor. So sometimes people think that they're faking it when actually they just can't see them. But
Oh my god, you know what? That's so advanced. I don't think I
I
ever
do that
do
all. Yeah,
that.
I love cam faking. It's so funny because sometimes
That's
people
really
like they'll
funny.
get so confused because when you hover over them like you're gonna teleport to them, it makes that really loud like that blah blah sound.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like if you just do it over and over and move it on and off of them, sometimes the survivors they'll just stop moving because they're like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, why
Oh, they
isn't he
think they're in the
teleporting?"
clear.
Yeah, like why isn't he
Oh, that's
teleporting?
funny.
Can you not see me here? I'm gonna stand still right here, and then you teleport and you're like directly on top of them. It's really funny.
Oh, that's crazy. I'll have to try that.
It's so fun. I definitely highly recommend. Um, but you were saying like the maps, like I think this is gonna help, like because he has some pretty bad maps. Not that they're bad for
Yeah.
like overall gameplay, but it's just there's a lot of junk in the way. Like Greenville is the big one that comes to mind because of all the trees and the bushes and the twigs and
Oh, the one you guys
everything.
started on trees, man. Trees, and they all work differently. Like every map has a different type of tree. Where like, oh, sometimes you can put a biopod on them. Sometimes you can scan through them. Sometimes you can't. Like, I think on Badum you can scan through the leaves like pretty
Dude,
easily. But on other maps, they're completely opaque and you can't.
Red Forest is like the bane of my existence because of all the fucking
Yo,
trees.
yeah, Red Forest is terrible. Oh my god,
But I
it's
think like
horrible.
keeping the scan progress, I mean, it's got to help with those maps a little bit because I mean they're not as bad as like an indoor map, RPD, Larry's, Gideon, whatever.
Yep.
But like the fact that the survivors can run between trees and it cancels your scan every time. But now it's like, well, now you can scan them between the trees because it keeps your progress. So I don't know. I feel like it might help with that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely need more time to play with that to see the difference, but I can kind of theorize the difference there. And I've seen enough times where, like that Groaning Storehouse event that happened, where I've been cucked out of teleports that I swear to God I earned.
Yeah.
And those instances should be not as common now with these changes.
Yeah, I mean, just playing it for as long as I did for a good like I think total like on and off stream I have like a total of 6 hours on the PTB, and
Yes.
like I said, I was genuinely surprised at how much that helped. Like it's such a small change, but it definitely makes a difference. Um, my big concern with that is that I hope it doesn't like screw up my cam faking because it's really funny and I like doing it.
Oh my God, I found the clip. I mean, I'll send it to you in case you ever use it. I found the clip of
Yeah.
that exact moment with the on Groaning Storehouse where I was just losing my mind. Okay. Yeah, I would have gotten that. Anyway, go on.
So another small one. This one is like super inconsequential, but it's kind of nice. It's the yellow aura. So when you control a biopod and you exit out of the camera again, that biopod glows right now. It's like 5 seconds that it's yellow. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it tells you which biopod you were just recently controlling. They just made that 10 seconds, which that's kind of a whatever change. But I mean, again, it's
Mm-hmm.
nice for like new players like to help orient themselves because there's been times where I've slipstreamed somebody and then I go out of the biopod and I'm just absolutely
Yes.
lost about where I am. Like, where did I just scan that person? I just did something to them, and I have no idea how to follow up with that. But that
Yeah,
definitely
if you're
helps out.
cam jumping like really crazy,
Hmm.
or if you're on like the game where every room looks the same, it's so easy to get mixed up. Um, to be completely honest, I didn't even know that the previously controlled biopod was highlighted for 5 seconds because it was 5 seconds. And I remember seeing pods turn yellow, and usually I'm like, "Oh, that one's down. Like that one's the one that was broken." Okay, and that's what I would think it meant. I didn't realize it was just telling me which one I was just using. So, like 10 seconds now, that'll make it actually noticeable, so I can orient myself faster.
Yeah. Again, kind of a whatever change, but just kind of a little bit of a nice quality of life change. Man, I wonder if that would be too much if they did give him like some sort of visual indicator that the biopod is down without him having to check it, because that'd be
Yeah,
kind of nice.
that would be nice as like maybe an add-on, right? As like an info
Yeah.
add-on, because like half the time, like it's such a bummer feeling to check a cam, see that it's down, and then you have to exit cams again. And like now it's faster to exit cams, so that feels less bad. But it would be nice to just know when it happens. Like, and I suppose that's free info, but there's other killers where when their stuff gets messed with, they get notified about it, like Trapper, for example.
Yeah. Were you
So
playing when
maybe as an add-on.
were you playing when that really terrible like audio bug was going on where like if the survivors EMP'd a pod, like
Dude.
you could hear the
Yep.
buzzing glow, like oh my god,
Yep.
it was
For the entire
terrible.
game.
It's
For the whole
terrible.
game.
But it was
Not
good
a good
info.
time.
It was good information because like oh they EMP'd
Oh,
somewhere.
like it told you even if you weren't looking at it, hey? I do
Yeah.
remember that. Like it would just show up and I'm like, what's that noise? And I didn't realize that's what it was. I thought it was only because I checked the cam. That's so interesting. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Terrible bug, good info.
Yeah, no, it was like it was so weird because it was this awful situation because like what you could do is it would make the sound that they EMP'd. It was only if they EMP'd a biopod. So if that biopod
Mm-hmm.
was EMP'd, it was making that like really terrible like staticky sound. But
Yeah,
you
yeah.
could if you went into that camera that was disabled and then exited out of it, it would stop the global sound. Um but still it
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
man, this is so annoying, but man, now I know they EMP'd somewhere, so I'm gonna go look around. But
Yeah, at some point I would like to discuss like hypothetical add-ons that we're not going to get, but it would be nice to like, some ideas that we might have.
oh yeah.
And that would be a nice one to just know when a biopod is down without having to check it. That would be really useful.
Yeah, and I mean even now, like with the new feature, which kind of getting into this a little bit, the remote the remote
Mhm.
destroying of the biopod. I'm
Yep.
gonna be totally honest. I totally forgot this was a feature when I was playing on the
Yep.
PTB because I just didn't
Me
use
too.
it that as much as I thought I would. Like on paper, it's like, oh, this is really nice. This is really good to have, and it is.
It's
But
awesome. I think it's too slow.
yeah,
If they make it like half a second, that would be nice.
yeah, no,
Um
I definitely agree there. It feels too slow to use because I was envisioning like, oh, I can use this in chase. Like, I'll put up a pod and I'll slipstream them and then I'll delete the
mhm.
pod and then I'll keep chasing them, but it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I feel like and occasionally there's times where like maybe you don't have info, maybe you just hook somebody and you have some downtime and you can do some like pod management, and in that case, yeah, you totally have seconds to like blow them up if you're just trying to, because the idea is like, okay, I have 4 primary pods I want to keep, I don't want them to delete themselves, so I'm going to delete a few crappy ones that I don't mind losing. So in that case, yeah, I can take the time to do those. But otherwise, the way I see it is the time to blow up the pods should be comparable to the time it takes to manually do it with your blaster, your M2.
Yeah, which
So
takes like half a
the fact that
second to do.
yeah, the fact that it's 1.25 seconds is kind of painful, and it's like, okay, I guess I don't have to walk over there, but I don't know. Like, it just feels really slow. If they make it even like 1 second, that would be nice. Maybe 0.5 seconds would be great. I hope that's like the one thing they change, because it doesn't feel fast enough to make me want to use it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It feels too slow to be practical, like how I envisioned it would be, but it's a nice feature to have. I'm not mad that they added it. Um,
I'm glad it's not instantaneous, because I can see myself left clicking by accident and then blowing up my pod.
oh my God, that would be awful.
It's like, oh, oops, oh crap, no, oops, no, I want that back.
God,
Okay.
I would be that person too. Don't you worry. But but
Oh my god, can you imagine? Could you imagine? Because we're talking about new players, right? Could you imagine if there's
oh
a new player
no.
who thinks they have to hold their M1 to shoot a biopod, and they look at a player and they hold M1 and they blow up their
Oh
biopod?
my God, yeah, because it's the same on controller because the button to delete the biopod is the same button that you use for
It's
like
like
a basic
the
attack. Yeah, it's like an
it's the
M1 or
attack
a
button. Yeah.
yeah. So like yeah,
Uh
because
oh.
like a lot of new players they don't know that the slipstream automatically attaches. They think that they have to like point and shoot, and it's like no 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 no
Yes.
baby, you don't have to do that.
I love that. I love that there's probably some new Larry out there who's going to like slipstream somebody and then blow up his pod. Like, huh? Does it use the pod
Oh my
when I
God, that's
does
that's
it use
so
up the pod when I
sad.
scan somebody? Oh gosh.
Oh, that's so sad. I sad Larry player. Oh no.
Maybe you know what it's been a while since I looked at it. Maybe it makes itself obvious. I don't think it says like self-destruct or anything on it, but maybe it makes itself somewhat obvious.
I
I think
think
in the UI explains it on the bottom.
yeah, it tells you
So
like oh like M1 to destroy pod, something like that.
yeah, it should so it shouldn't
But yeah,
trick too many newbies.
maybe not instantly, but I mean quicker than what it is now would be nice.
Yeah.
I saw somebody on Twitter saying that the ability to remotely destroy biopods makes his 3-genning better, and I'm very confused about how they got to that conclusion.
I guess so. It just makes it easier to maintain the pods that you already have. Like it's just easier to manage them. But I don't know. I feel like 3genning is such it's I understand that like my opinion is that every killer can 3gen, and the fact that they've limited the amount of gen regression events makes it so that every killer now has a counterplay to 3genning. All you have to do is make them run out of kicks. And like I understand it's harder to do that if you're solo. It's easier to do that if you have a 4-man or something, but it's completely possible. You can absolutely do that. And if they're truly being lame about it, then they'll lose. If they're really being such a coward at it that they won't leave their 3gen, they will eventually lose that. You just have to be patient. So I understand that like Larry has some really crazy 3gen potential, but it's not that crazy.
No, I mean at this point with like the base kit features that they've added, like the gen kick limit, like he's really no better at doing it than any other killer. I mean,
Yeah, and they removed, I'm not sure if you've seen that one video. I think Hens posted it. It was a competitive team versus a Larry, and he used the
mhm.
broken add-on so that they couldn't reset, and he was holding a 3gen for a million years.
Yes, I did
And
see that video.
they removed the broken add-on. So now you can't do that. I mean, maybe with like forced penance or something, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, they've kind of acknowledged that in a way.
Yeah, I mean it's too bad because I know like there was some very like infamous Singularity players that made their whole like shtick about 3-genning. I'm not gonna mention names, but anybody if you know you know. But
Yeah, okay.
but apparently that's like a very favorable add-on for that playstyle, the broken. But it's really sad because like the add-on, if you're just playing like a normal match, like it's kind of a nice add-on too. I mean it's nothing crazy. It's no
Yes.
Soma family photo, but it is a nice add-on.
Yeah, and the idea is like we want a variety of viable add-ons, because
Mm-hmm.
the problem was that people were auto picking haste. Like It was like, why would I pick anything else? I just want to end chases faster, so I'm gonna pick haste. And I'm so glad that the new Soma family doesn't just add 2%. Like, I'm
Yeah.
so glad we do not have 5% base anymore. I mean, I'm still running haste perks because I'm a piece of crap, but like that doesn't like at least it's not in my add-on selection. At least I can experiment with other things, or rather, players are more encouraged to experiment with other things.
Yeah, and I mean, I have a whole like I'm glad that they didn't just put 2% haste on Soma as well, because like for one thing, that would not be worth a purple rarity add-on anymore.
Yeah,
That's
it
bad.
would suck.
And I'm also glad that they didn't do like with Sadako when she got her changes and she got like a speed boost out of her TV's base kit.
Yeah.
They did not change her bloody fingernail add-on, so she comes
Oh
out at like
no.
Mach 5. I was like, "Oh my god, please don't do that to Singularity cuz that would be
Wait,
fucking
does she still do that? Is that
yeah,
still the same?
that's still the same. It's so funny. Oh my god, because people run that shit with
Honestly,
like coup. So she comes out of the TV at Mach 5, and then she has a coup lunge. She could clear like a whole double truck paddle,
that's
double truck title
that's
on Astro.
crazy.
It's so
That's
silly.
so that's so funny, man. I have a coworker who plays competitive Street Fighter. Like, he's been to Evo Vegas and everything. He's like super hardcore into Street Fighter. And we were discussing this game. Like, we were discussing DBD, and I was like, have you ever seen a character get reworked 3 times in like a 3 month span? And he's like, no, why? I'm like, because that's the game I play. Like, they just don't know what to do with her. So she's been through like 4 iterations, and I don't even know what she does anymore.
God, poor Sadako. Apparently, like the
Yeah,
state that she's in now, apparently they found like a happy medium, so she's in a really good spot now. I mean, I don't
that's
play her that
good. That's
much,
good.
but my partner he plays Sadako, and that was his first P100, and he used to really like her. So
Nice.
he's
Oh my god,
he
she has that sick ass skin for mobile now too. Oh
yes,
my
it's
god.
so pretty.
Yeah, I was gonna buy it, but I don't really play her. But if I do, I'm buying
I don't really play her, but I would buy it too because that skin is so sick.
it.
But yeah, and I'm very happy with what they did to Sadako. I'm very glad they did not do that to Soma Family Photo because can you imagine Singularity with what was it 8% haste with
Dude,
Soma and the base kit haste and then like rapid
honestly.
brutality and batteries
Yup.
included and
Like,
play with
dude,
your
with
food
the
like
buffed machine learning, oh my god, dude, 60 seconds machine learning, you can end the game. It's insane, dude.
it's actually a
Holy
race car
crap.
Larry. Oh my
It's
god.
insane, bro. Like, that perk is so underrated, and now, like, with the changes, I don't hope. I'm assuming more people are going to try it, and it's gonna kick some ass. Because it's evil.
Yeah, I haven't even tried rapid brutality on the PTB because the haste that they gave him, I feel like he doesn't need it because he feels pretty good without it. But we'll get into that
Yeah.
topic because I do want to talk about Soma a little bit, what they did to it. Um,
Yes, for sure.
but so another pretty minor change that they did, which people didn't even notice this because it was not in the developer update, but it is in the patch notes now. They
Mm,
increased the time it takes to scan a survivor from zero point 0.6 seconds to zero point 0.8 seconds. So zero point 0.2 point 0.2
yes.
second change. Um, you can feel it. You can definitely
Yeah.
feel it.
Yeah. And I'm into it. I think it's fine. I think that a lot of the changes were made to help survivors get counterplay, and I think
Hmm.
that's healthy. So to give them an extra fifth of a second to react to something, I think is totally fair. And hopefully reduces the amount of salt that might come out
Yeah,
when you're facing Larry. What
yeah.
do you
And
think about it?
I am. I mean, it felt very weird because it's such a small change, but I think you're right. It definitely gives survivors more time to like react to what you're doing and give them ample opportunity to counterplay. Um, but it's a muscle memory thing. Like we can adapt. Like we all
Yep.
learned how to play Singularity in the first place, right? Like we can do it
Hmm.
again. It's not that big of a deal. Um, but the only time I really felt it being like a pain point was on like indoor maps where they like get around a corner
Oh
quickly
yeah.
enough. But he's
Yeah.
already
Oh
bad on
god.
indoor maps, so
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, I haven't tried. I don't think I got an indoor map on the PTP, so I didn't get to experience that suffering. I definitely RPD. I don't have an issue with, but like Larry's and maybe Hawkins are kind of rough. The game is. I'm okay. I'm okay on the game. I think most of the time, but Larry's is so
mhm.
incredibly painful on Singularity. Like, it's a rough time every time.
Yeah, like I load into the that map and I just expect to lose because like oh well game's over but we're gonna try. but but yeah, I haven't played on Larry's on the PTB. I believe I played on RPD. But I can see that being a really big like pain point on those kind of the more like tight knit maps like Larry's and Hawkins, where they have like a lot of open doorways and a lot of corners. Um, yeah, so we'll see. But I mean, like I said, he was already kind of bad on that map to begin with, so it just
Yeah.
makes it worse. Which I mean, considering all the good changes that we got, like I'm fine with it.
Yeah, like every killer has maps that they're not going to perform as well on. I don't think that I don't think it's bad for him to have some bad maps. Like it's not that crazy. Every killer has maps that they just load into and they're just like, I hate this map. Like it's just gonna
Yeah.
happen.
No, I mean, no killer should have like 100% win rate on, or not 100% win. No killer should be favorable on every single map. That would just be too much, too overbearing.
Yeah, and it's a testament to the variant, like the variable, like sorry, how different these maps are. And I
Yeah.
think that's a good thing. If every map was like freaking Macmillan's, you would get bored.
Yeah, no, for sure. But and again, like some of those maps, like they allow you for like you can do like meme stuff on those maps as well. To like my goal right now is something I'm working on is I'm trying to make like a jump scare Larry build. And
Yo, let's go.
so what I've been doing, just to go off on a little tangent here about this, but I've been using hyper awareness spray, and I've been bringing perks like unforeseen and
Yep,
machine learning and monitor, and then I bring a Hawkins offering. So my goal is to make
nice.
Larry viable on indoor maps, but not by being stealthy because he's kind of got some loud footsteps, the loud like metallic clanking
Yeah,
footsteps.
and they can hear you when you're in pods, no matter what.
Yeah, but the hyper awareness spray and then unforeseen, so putting the terror radius on the gen,
Yo,
it
Unforeseen is so good. Unforeseen is so insanely good, man. I
it
love it.
is. Yeah, but it makes it's like it's like a paranoia Larry build because they get the terror radius from the pod and they get the terror radius from the gen, and then you're undetectable or you have monitor on, so you have a smaller TR. It's so funny.
Oh my god, and now you have that I mean, I don't know how useful it'll be, but there's a new add-on that gives you like a reduced tear radius.
Yeah,
It's
the
only for a few
ultrasonic
seconds,
sensor. I mean,
but
I didn't know what to run with the hyper awareness spray, so that's definitely a good like new option. So I definitely want to try that out.
yeah, basically the I think the result of that is that they're just going to experience an extremely inconsistent tear radius,
Which
and it's going
adds
to make
to
them
it
question their
because
sanity. Yeah, like that's almost scarier than being completely in stealth all the time. Is the
that's
fact
kind
that
of
you're
my
like not
thought.
sure.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I've taken that build against some like TTVs, and I go and I watch the VOD afterwards, and they're just like, I don't know where he is. I have a tear radius, like, and then they get yoinked off a gen across the map. Like it's super fun. Like I highly recommend. Because it works better than an actual stealth build because it just induces so much like paranoia. And
Yeah.
Hawkins, I chose Hawkins specifically only because of like the ambient sounds on that map kind of mask his footsteps a little bit better.
Oh yeah, that oh yeah, true. Like the doors that open and
Yeah.
close kind of sound like his footsteps. Ah, that's smart. That's clever.
Yeah, so that's just a fun little thing I'm working on, but so another big change, I'm extremely happy about this change, and I'm sure a lot of Singularity players are. This is pretty much universally loved, but it's the shorter wake up time when you exit a camera. So
Yup,
it's been reduced from 1 second to 0.5 seconds. So it feels a lot better when you come out of a camera,
it's
like get
great.
back into a chase. Feels so good.
Yeah, I didn't think he needed this, but I'll take it. I'm also one player who I don't like switching, but this is maybe I'm not as good of a Larry player as I thought. I don't like switching between pods. I usually just go back to Larry and then I select a new pod, just because that's just how my brain works. So it's easier to do that now compared to just jumping between pods. Um, it also helps when you do things in loop where like I've done things in loops where I pretend like I'm about to teleport, but then I just let go and then I just jump out wherever I am. Maybe that because they ran towards me. Um, so that makes those plays even better. You save half a second.
Yeah, no, and I mean it's half a second, so like oh, it's on paper, it's not that much, but it's again, it's one of the things where you can feel the difference of it, and it
Yes.
really just reduces his clunkiness, which feels very nice. Makes him feel a lot smoother. And like I was saying earlier, like with
Hmm.
the camera faking, like I can fake with the camera and then immediately like jump out of the cam and get, catch up to them a little bit quicker. Sometimes it catches them off guard. So, really nice for that as well.
Definitely, definitely, definitely.
And kind of a big one here, the reduction to the anti-camp penalty. So
Oh, thank God. Thank
you
God,
you
man.
I know, thank God, God bless America. But yeah, so you go into a pod if you're sitting next to a hook survivor right now, and then you wake up from the pod and
You can't do anything.
yeah, you were walking on tar for a full 5 seconds. You can't swing, you can't place a biopod, you can't check another cam, you can't do anything. And it sucks. And it feels
Dude, it's
terrible.
so bad. It's so awful. It's so
So
horrible. And it's not even like a well-designed anti-camp if you think about it. Like, it's so stupid. I'm in the pods because I want to leave.
I'm checking the camera
Yeah,
across the map. Like
I'm trying to go away.
it actually
Like,
punishes you by making you camp more. Like
yeah, like, and I think that perhaps like I mean, it's better now, so it's not really important anymore. But I feel like if they wanted an anti-cam for Larry, I think the idea would be that either you just can't access cams next to hook, or when you're in them, the cams are slower. Like the scanning time would be slower. That would discourage you from like sitting next to a hook and sitting in your cams, like. And what I wanted was at least a visual indicator that we were going to get an anti-camp like penalty, and then so I know when I'm far enough away from the hook. That was gonna make me happy. I'm happy with this change. I think this is fine. 1.5 seconds is nothing.
yeah, I mean I know a lot of people just wanted them to get rid of it altogether, but I think this is a good like compromise. Because like 1.5 seconds, like yeah, it's a little bit longer than the 0.5 second wake up time elsewhere, but I mean you can't really feel it that much. I mean, you can get back in the action a lot quicker, so it feels a lot better. You can check a camera and be like, okay, I'm gonna walk away. I'm just gonna fuck off now. But it's super good. I'm super happy with that change. Definitely a good quality of life change.
Oh, you know what? This reminds me of one thing. I didn't check this with the UI update because I don't think I had any instances of it. But one thing I was frustrated about before is, you know how there is a delay when you're scanning somebody next to a hook or
Hmm.
when they were just unhooked. I don't know if there's a new visual indicator to show that they're getting that anti-camp, because that's one thing that I wanted, was just letting me know when it's okay to scan them, because it takes so long, and then I don't even understand when it wears off. Like, it wears off like 5 seconds off the hook or something. I
Yeah,
can't
because it
remember.
lingers. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think keeping that aspect in the game right now is fine because, I mean, that would just make him like a really good tunneler, and I don't think anybody wants that.
Yep.
But no, I think like the wake up time is good, but keeping the scan time long is, I think that's a fair change. Like that's fine staying in the game. Um
Yeah,
I
also
don't
kind of like if you want to camp, like it changes the way your brain works. Like, okay, I have to set up on their way to the hook, not on the hook. So I have to predict which direction they're coming from. And you feel kind of like an evil genius when you do that.
Yes, you do. So true. Yeah, I like putting a pod in front of a hook survivor. Like when I hook somebody, I'll leave a pod and then I'll go fuck off and I'll go do something else. Um,
Mhm.
but they get unhooked and then I'll wait 5 seconds or so and then I'll check the camera because it is staggering the amount of people that reset immediately under the hook,
Yep.
even though they saw
Yep.
you place the biopod there. It just it
It's
blows my mind.
strange.
It's like you
It's
saw me
strange.
do it.
Survivor behavior, it makes no sense so very often.
Yeah, so yeah, so with that being the way that it is, like yeah, that can stay. It can stay. Um um so there were some collision changes to the biopods themselves. This isn't anything
Mm,
like major, but they feel a lot more snappy. Like when you go to place them
yes.
in the environment,
Yeah.
it feels like what they're trying to do is they're taking into account like where you're pointing your reticle and then they're snapping it to like the closest
Yeah.
possible like
Like
allowed
valid
yeah,
placement.
instead of having you like spam pods on a green reticle and then it doesn't place it
Yep.
because it's like a pixel away from being red. Like
Yep. Thank thank God. Again, like I haven't had enough practice to really notice too much of a difference or if there's any flaws with that system, but I've had enough moments where, like you said, where the reticle is green and you get nothing anyway. where that is so salty. Like that is the most annoying thing ever.
It's so
So
bad.
if this fixes that entirely, that's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't notice that kind of feeling on the PTB. It actually feels very like fluid. Like I want to place a pod right here because I want to look at the front of Dead Dog Saloon. Oh, I could place it and walk away? What?
I don't have to sit here and shoot like 3 times before I get what I want. Yeah, dude, seriously, that's like the dumbest feeling is like knowing some survivors watching me try to get an angle on a tree branch
Oh my
where I
god,
can
the
hit
embarrassment.
the specific like part of the tree branch that I can put a pot on. And I always ask like there's this thing I say a lot. I don't know if it's in any of the videos where I'm like I'm asking the entity for permission. Like, oh, can I put one here? Can I put one here, Anthony? Okay, cool. And thank you. Like, that's how it feels sometimes. It's like I need a
God.
permit.
It's you need a fucking a building permit, the fucking
Yeah.
affidavit from the entity. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But I oh god, the Azarov's trees, they hate me. I swear to God they do. I have the
Yep.
worst problems with those trees, especially like Suffopit, because what I like to do is not Suffopit, Azerov's resting place, the long
Yeah.
skinny like the dog bone shaped one.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
like to put a pod on the trees on either side of like the choke point because it kind of watches that whole area. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm just not allowed. Because the trees
No.
they don't like me. So
You
I
didn't
call them
get the committee's permission.
I call them the forbidden trees. So
I definitely feel that.
but yeah, so this change, the collision changes, like I said, it just feels so snappy. So it's honestly kind of jarring at first because I'm not used to being able
Yes.
to just place a pod and walk away. But especially on controller, like we have that issue a lot where the reticle is green or we're like a pixel off, and it's really hard to make those like little micro adjustments on a joystick. So
Absolutely.
I definitely appreciate that change a lot.
Yeah, it is. I think jarring is the right word. I understand if other players, if other Singularity players are bothered by it because it does feel a little bit weird. But if you just like understand, like, okay, this is an adjustment the game is making because the game understands that the geometry is flawed and it's just making up for those flaws. It's not that it's taking control away from me. I still have all the control. It's just helping me out a little bit.
Do you think that change makes them easier?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But only in a way that's like, I think that here's I guess here's I guess often when I look at killer players or players in general in this game, I kind of break down their gameplay into like decisions and the quality of their actual play. So you can make good decisions and be bad at looping. You can choose the right loop and then screw up the loop, you know? So what you're basically doing is you're choosing where the biopod is going. The game is just helping you with the quality of your placement because before you'd have to account for all the little things like, oh, it might not work on this specific angle on this specific object because the geometry is kind of funny. So I know I have to hit it from this angle, from this angle. Now, we learn that, just like Blights learn collision on objects and how they can slide and stuff. We learn which objects do what. I understand which rocks on Ormond don't want a fucking pod on the top of them.
Right.
So the game is just accounting for that so that we're still making the same decisions. It's just makes it easier to, the quality of those decisions is easier now. So I don't think it's taking away from the skill at all.
Yeah, because I mean, I've seen like I mean, Twitter's gonna tweet, but
Oh my
um,
god.
people are in regards to the changes, like
Pain.
we'll get to the big controversy, but
Yeah.
with placing the biopods, like I've seen people legitimately say that this is part of like dumbing him down because it's like, oh well,
It's so
placing
silly.
the perfect pod is a skill set. Like, no, it's not. Nobody cares if I place this biopod 2 centimeters from this rock. Like, that's not going to impact anything. Like, chill.
Yeah, I I don't understand. Like, and again, I'm not like the greatest Singularity player. I don't have the most hours or the most experience, but I can speak for I think newer players. I can speak for the accessibility of the killer, and I don't think that it doesn't take away your so-called skill expression just because the game is sort of accounting for its own jank basically. It's like how they reduced Hillbilly's collision hitbox, and it's accounting for the game's janky object collision. That's all it is. It doesn't mean that Billy's getting dumbed down. The game is just apologizing for the fact that the geometry is completely fucked sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but an aspect of your killer that's broken as fuck and bad and janky is not skill. I'm so sorry. I'm
Exactly,
so sorry.
exactly.
Um So this one, I was kind of iffy about this one actually, but I'm not upset about it. So the survivors, they
Mm.
only highlight in white when you're looking at them through a biopod if they can actively be scanned by you. So if they're behind a line of sight blocker, you no longer see their white aura.
Mm-hmm. I'm
So
into it.
yeah.
I think again, like, it kind of gives some survivors a little bit of counterplay where if somebody wants to be a bit more stealthy, it's a bit more viable. Also, I'm not sure if you noticed, if you're having the same issues that I'm having, but on live right now, the highlight on survivors is extremely inconsistent. Sometimes they are white, sometimes they're not,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Yeah.
don't know why. And on some maps, like, I just played a swamp game where I fucking just couldn't see people half the time in the swamp,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Hopefully this
it
fixes
sucked.
that, in the next
Yeah,
patch. But
it was awful, but also, like, it's cool. I'm like, okay, well, and make stealthing a bit more viable, and um what was it? And it's nice to know when they're out of range, because sometimes I don't know the range. So it's nice to be like, okay, I see that person at a distance, but they're not glowing, so I know I'm not going to bother trying to scan them.
yeah. And I mean, like you said, like the aura's missing on live right now. Like it's a consistency thing, right? And that definitely would hurt new players because they're like, well, this person is glowing white. Why can't I scan them? I'm looking at them, but their toe is 2 centimeters behind this tree branch, so I'm not allowed to scan them. Like,
Yeah, I realize, especially on this patch, on this live patch, how much I rely on that white glow, like how useful it is. So, but also, yeah, it's nice to know that if a survivor is far enough away that I might not get that free vision on them. That
hmm
kind of like ghost face. It's kind of like that ghost face vision where if you hold right, like, hold your power, you see everybody highlighted in white. So
yeah,
it's like, okay, cool. Like, you know what? If your strategy is to go wide and go away from my biopods, and that works for you, that's good. I'm glad, because that means that you did something and it worked for you, and you beat me.
yeah.
So
It's definitely viable counterplay is running out of range of the biopod rather than just like I'm gonna try and break line of sight as soon as I can.
yeah,
Cause
because on some maps like freaking Rotten Fields, it might be hard to do that.
yeah, yeah. So but I mean, even though they're not glowing, like even if you can't actively get the scans, sometimes having those pods like way high up and being able to like see a survivor run off in the background or seeing their scratch marks, like sometimes that's all the information you need, even if
Yep.
you can't actively do anything with it with
Yes,
the cam.
absolutely.
And Coco Latte brought
And
up
we
a
haven't
really good
we
point
haven't
about.
oh,
Oh, go ahead, go on.
oh, I was just gonna say we have a new add-on for range, so if
Yes, yes.
so, like, if that's really a problem, you could try that.
Oh my God, yes, that add-on is so good. But like the white glow, like even if you can't scan them, like right now on live, they still glow even if they're behind like a line of sight blocker. But
Yes.
sometimes having that information is still useful because if they're hiding behind a bush and you know where that pod is, you can walk over there because now you know somebody is there even if you can't scan them.
Yep.
So again, just having the information is good. So this might take away from that a little bit, but I think it's a fine compromise because it makes him it's a change that's geared towards making him easier to understand.
Yes, absolutely. Just the clarity of information is so important. Um, so yeah, I'd be into it. Like, I haven't played enough PTB to really notice a difference, but if it just makes it more obvious to me if someone's in or out of range, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, and it doesn't seem to make that much of an impact. You can still like if you're looking at somebody like way off in the back of like rotten fields, like you said, like you can still see them like running away, or you can see their scratch marks off
Mm-hmm.
in the distance. So you still get that good information, which is good. So this one I know you're very pleased about. The slipstream immunity period was reduced to 1 second from 2 seconds. So if a survivor EMPs, they have a very brief period of immunity where they can't be scanned again, so they can't be slipstreamed again. That duration
Mm-hmm.
was just reduced in the PTB. Like I said, this is a change I know you're pretty pleased about. I've seen your pains with this change.
Oh my god, dude. I think that's the only time that's ever happened to me, because it's so unlikely to happen, right? Someone has to cleanse and you have to be staring at them with a biopod that wasn't deactivated. Like, there's so many factors that make that such a unique scenario
hmm
that when that happened, I was so mad because I was so confused and I felt robbed. Like, it was awful. So, um It's weird because in the first dev update, I think they said it was like 0.35 seconds, and now it's one
Yeah.
second,
Yeah, I don't know if
which
they
is
just
fine.
changed it on the fly or if it was like supposed to be 1 second and I don't know. But either way, it's fine. Um like you said, that situation is like it's super rare. Like the stars literally have to align for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I can actually recall that happening to me. But it's it's a thing where it's like, oh, it was already pretty rare, but when it does happen, it's really frustrating. So now it just happens less. So good change.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure how. Maybe I can try. Like we can test it out or something like that in PTB. But I guess it. I'm confused if they maybe change the way it interacts. Because in my opinion, if they're not scannable, just make them not scannable. Like don't let the bar charge up at all. And then when they're available,
Yeah.
then they can start targeting. And I'm not sure if they changed that at all. Because it's kind of silly if so it takes 0.8 seconds to target lock somebody, right? So they cleanse, maybe a fifth of a second passes by, and then I scan them, and then the 1 second goes away, and then I finish my scan right after, and I've basically lost 0 time. So it's like, what's the point? But if it's
Yeah.
I can't target lock them at all, I can't even build up a scan, then that's a bit more understandable, I think.
Yeah, and I
I
don't know
don't
if it's
know.
a
I would have to test it.
programming. Yeah, I don't know if that's like a programming issue with him where they make that not possible, but yeah, I definitely think you're right. I think that would make it a lot better. Um because the scan right now on live, it takes 0.6 seconds. So
Mm-hmm.
that person has 2 seconds of immunity. So that's a, I mean, if you run the numbers, like that's
Oh
a
my
pretty
god,
sizable like window that
and the
they're
worst part
immune.
is that in that clip, I scanned her. It shoots a freaking blob at her, and then I go on cooldown. So it's not like
Yeah.
it just didn't shoot. It's like
It's
it's
like
like I had to
highway
shoot and
robbery.
reload. Yeah, it was a fun time. It was a fun time for sure.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I know why it happens, and I'm glad that they're addressing it, even though it's a fairly rare issue to see.
Super super rare. I do think it's if they ever like decide to change him up more, and I hope they don't, but like you know how when you face Freddy, you use the clock, you have like 60 seconds of immunity against his
Yeah.
power. I would completely understand if an EMP gives you like I don't know, like a couple seconds, and maybe it's just displayed to the killer, like on the UI or on the Biopods, because that's a totally fair gameplay decision. If they were like, okay, you know what, you EMP, you're good for like 5 seconds, and I'd be totally okay with that because again, it's survivor counterplay. Yeah, it's frustrating, but you need 5 seconds to catch up anyway, so it's like whatever. Um, and if it's just communicated clearly to the player, then you know it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them even adding like a visual like indicator, but the reason I think they don't do that is because there's already a lot going on in the
Oh yeah,
biopod. Like you've got the
yeah.
survivors glowing because you can scan them, and then you've got all these buttons that you can push, and then you've got EMPs going off, and it's so much. So I think they just don't want to like they don't want to
Yeah,
they don't want to
make it
clutter it.
crazier.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So the add-on that he has right now on live, the yellow the ultrasonic sensor. So what that does right now is if you
Mm,
are in a biopod, you can hear sounds. That's now base kit. So he can just enter a biopod, he can hear the sounds around him.
that's
Um
so nice.
yeah, it's a really nice quality of life change because you can hear injured survivors that are close to your biopod, you can hear them healing, you can hear gen progress, you can hear everything, footsteps, like it's a super good change. I don't know why this wasn't base kit sooner.
Yeah, that add-on never made sense to me. Like, I also don't understand why there's a 0.5 second delay in
Yeah.
the, the add-on. Like, I remember trying this add-on once, and I was like, "That's dumb. Like, like that's cool, but I wish it didn't take an add-on slot."
Yeah, why isn't this
Um,
just in the game? Like, why isn't this a feature? But it is now. So I
yeah, it really adds to the whole surveillance aspect of the character, where like, okay, I can like I have eyes everywhere, and now I have ears everywhere. So
yeah, and I definitely with the changes just overall, it feels like they're kind of trying to push that idea of him. Like he's not designed to just lock down an area like a gen spread. He is an info gatherer. He's got, he's expected to be he's got to have eyes everywhere. He needs to know what's happening at all times, and also while being like a really lethal like chase killer.
see, that's actually we'll probably touch on this later if we want to talk about like
Mm,
skill expression,
yeah.
but like that's one of those things where especially at the start of a match you have to decide like I have 7 pods. Am I going to put these on gens or am I going to put these at wide angles where I can see more of the map so that I can catch people when they're moving?
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of have to make decisions based on what what you think is going to happen, and it's so satisfying when it plays out. I can't remember if I put this in a video or not, but there was one match where it was what's the freaking Sanctum of Wrath. It was Yamaoka State Sanctum of Wrath with the big structure in the middle, and I put some biopods like that all faced wide angles on one side of the map. I chased somebody from, so like if Shack is top, I started on the bottom moving north or moving up. I found somebody at Shack, we moved south, and all the biopods I placed came into play. Like I hit her with one, I scanned her, I got a hit, she cleansed, and then I used my like the second and third biopod to either like scan her and then teleport to her, and it felt like such a checkmate. Like this girl made it half across the map, and she like went right into my web of traps. It was like a Hag moment.
Yeah,
and it was terrific.
Oh, see, that's one of the great things about Singularity, and it's not something that people talk about, is how versatile he can be. Like, he can be so many different things. Like, he can be a setup killer. You can set up a web and corral people into them. He can be it could be a chase killer. You can mow people down with overclock. If you want to play more defensively, like, you can control gens. Like, it's an option, and it's fair. It's reasonable. But like he has so much variety. Like, he can do so many different things, and I feel like people shoehorn themselves into like one play style too often.
Yeah, I think that usually my go-to is I start with those wide angles, and then if the game gets really tight, then I'll start placing like a 3-gen of blobs, where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start watching this 3-gen.
Yeah.
But I don't usually set out to lock down a 3-gen, but like again, like you can have cams, can have cams in the last 3 or 4 gens, and that at least gives you the info you need to like know what to prioritize. And now with our default audio add-on, then it helps us keep track of progress better, so that's nice too.
Yeah, definitely. Because now, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, then gates are a nightmare against Larry.
Oh yeah,
like exit gates is just a terrible.
You do the
thing.
double camera setup, and they can't do anything about it. Like, he's so bullshit at in game.
Yeah, and it's even easier now because they reduced the EMP range, which I don't think was necessary.
No, definitely not. And we'll get into EMPs a little bit later too. That's on the list.
Yeah, for sure. for sure.
But I agree 100%. Also the audio, it's I mean, like you said, you can hear gen progress, so it's super nice, because if you are, you're doing your Larry things and you're patrolling the map and you hear a gen that's like 3 pistons, you can kick it with whatever, just kick it normally, kick it with your pop or eruption or overcharge or whatever the fuck you have on. And you just throw a pod up by it because it's closer than you're more comfortable with, and now you can hear it. Like, you can just flick in the pod real quick, you can check if it's still regressing, you can hear if there's more progress, you can hear if somebody's actively working on it. So, just a really nice another tool in his toolbox, so to speak.
Absolutely.
So, this one I'm totally fine with. This is a bit of a nerf. If you are stunned during overclock by a perk like Head On or Blast Mine, it now puts you into Overheat. So what Overheat does, for people that don't know, because people ask me a lot, like, what the fuck is Overheat? So that is what happens where if you get stunned by like a pallet when you're in overclock, and you get the red like static on your screen and you're slowed for like 3 seconds, that's what Overheat is. So now if he gets head-on stunned while he's in overclocked, or if he kicks a gen and there's blast mine on it, it puts him into that same state as if he were to get stunned by a pallet.
So wait, I'm actually confused. I don't even know what happens on live. Like, do you get stunned? Do you just ignore the stun?
I think you just eat it. Like, it doesn't do anything.
That's insane.
I mean, you get like, if it's blast mine, like, you get blinded, but I don't think you get stunned. Yeah. You just keep walking and you can't see. But
that's really funny.
But head on,
so funny. I love the idea of this blind like blob robot swinging completely blind. Yeah, no, that's crazy though, because like I haven't tested it, but like you can still swing and overheat. So if someone head-ons you might be able to just hit them instantly depending on the angle.
Yeah, and I mean, if you react quickly enough, I mean, yeah, you could do that. You're really slow, so your lunge isn't going to go very far, but you can still swing. So that's why it's really good for overclock, because if somebody throws a pallet on you, they're kind of stuck in that animation. So if you swing, like, you get free hits through it all the time.
Yeah, dude, I love that. It's such bullshit. Like, I've had times where people have genuinely, like, we haven't traded, but then because they're stuck in that pallet animation, either they don't immediately move away from me, or they do something else. Like sometimes they like to do circles or whatever the heck, and then I just
Yeah.
get free hits while in overheat.
The circles, oh my god.
Like they're panicking
Why?
or something. I don't know.
Why
yeah,
do they
I
do
don't get
that?
it. Never as a survivor do I go, I just hit a stun and the guy instantly broke the pallet. I'm gonna run in a circle. I'm gonna 360 them now. Like, no, that's not the time to 360 me. It's time to run away.
Also, the repeat offenders, like the same people that they keep trying to stun you when you're glowing bright ass green. Like, do you people do you learn? Like, you should okay.
Like, just pre-drop it. Just pre-drop it and walk away.
Just a pro tip: if Larry is glowing green, don't throw a pallet on him. Like,
or if you hear the terrifying noise of his overclock mode,
just don't throw a pallet on him.
You can hold W, you break line of sight if you get hit, or you can do another loop and then early drop it. Like, there's things you can do. Just don't do that.
Anything but that, literally. Like, go vault a window and oh my god. It's so funny. I think it just comes down to, like, he's not a very common killer. Not very many people play him, so people just don't have, like, the practice of playing against him. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know if you saw my super salty video from this morning, but
I did.
Yeah, and like I didn't show my full discussion of that person, but I was really like, if you never play against that killer, you're never gonna learn them. Like, you're never gonna learn the matchup. And I thought it was so funny that when I went into their stream to say hi, they were quitting against a pinhead.
Yeah.
like they literally queued up 3 games in a row and quit 3 games in a row. I'm like, guys, you gotta be somewhat self-aware here.
I actually just watched that while I was eating my burger before we started recording this, but but the fact that they asked you, they're like, well, if people are quitting, what's the common denominator here? And they're like,
they're
actively
bad.
quitting, like, in a totally different game. Like, apparently the common denominator is you, bro.
Yeah, the common denominator is that they're bad or scared or I don't know what. Like, I don't get it.
I don't know. People are weird, especially like the hard. I don't want to call them like hardcore survivors, but like you know the type. Like they get on and they're not having fun, but they make themselves keep playing anyway. They're usually survivor players, but I think that's just because there's more survivor players in the game because of the whole 4v1 thing. But
yeah, well, I have a theory about that. And it it's just a theory. But there's like, I have a thing where often I'll load into a match and I'll see a P100 survivor and I'm like, that person's gonna quit. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the person who's gonna rage quit first, is the P100. And what I've concluded is that a player with less hours is probably more likely to just play it out. A player with a ton of hours that plays this game every single day, they play this game every single day. Like, if you're playing this game like 4+ hours a day, you're more likely to just get tilted and to just not want to play because you're burnt out probably.
Yeah.
Or like the idea is that maybe they feel entitled to a certain type of match. Like, okay, I brought these perks. I need to get value out of these perks or else I'm quitting. I brought this with this intention. If this doesn't work out, I'm quitting. I brought a heal build. If it's a plague, I'm quitting. Because they have so many goddamn games under their belt, they only want the ones that are going to go their way, which I think is entitled, but I also understand where that mentality comes from. Because if you think about it, I was in that same mentality during my video, because my video was I want to have a real match. I want to get a Mori. That's what I wanted. And I didn't get that, and I got pissed off, and I went after this person, and yeah, I was nice to them, but I was low-key pissed off the entire time.
Yeah, I mean,
and that was my intention, right? Is I want to play a real match, I want to get perk value, I want to Mori these people, and they didn't give me that, and I got pissed.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that it's a little bit different though, because like with that scenario, like you wanted to use like your funny speedy build, and you wanted to get a Mori,
to play a game.
And you wanted to
play the game.
You just wanted to play the game, like. But that's different because like even if your build wasn't working, like say they brought like all gen perks and they just absolutely slammed the fuck out of the gens in like 5 minutes.
That happened in that night. Yep, that happened.
Yeah, it happens.
Still had fun.
But like you don't quit because you lost 4 gens for like a down. Like it sucks and it's frustrating, sure, like that's totally fine, but you're not gonna quit over it.
Yeah, there's this is a really obscure reference. It's not that obscure, but have you ever watched the show Video Game High School?
I don't think so, no.
No? Okay, so there's an episode where a kid gets locked into an arcade game, which is like Initial D, and you have to seek out cars and you have to beat them in races to get them. And this one, it like glitches where he has to beat this certain car, or else the machine won't open. Like they have to pry him out with a crowbar,
Oh
and
my god.
they he's at this for hours, and they give up, and they're like, yeah, we'll come get him in the morning, whatever, because like he's gonna be in there forever. And they're like, oh, he's fighting, he's going against this glitched out car, and he's getting mad because every time he beats it, it refuses to like give it to him. Like its door opens and it refuses to let him in, so he can't like unlock it or whatever. It's really silly, but the bit is that he concludes like, oh, you just want to race, like you just want to play, is what you just want. And then he spends time with it, and eventually it lets him out. Like it's not about winning, he just wants to play. And that's me, that's how I approach this whole fucking game.
Yeah.
Is I don't care what you bring, I don't care, like I don't care what happens, I don't care if I win or lose, I just want to fucking race, I just want to fucking play.
Yeah.
Like I just bought Skullgirls for $20 because somebody on Twitter said it would be fun to try it, and they're gonna beat my ass tomorrow when we play, but I just want to play a goddamn game.
But like, I can't talk too much on fighting games. I mean, I'm not super into them. My partner is, so I know a little bit about them, but like by proxy. But it's the same thing. Like, if you have a really bad matchup in a fighting game, like you don't just quit.
You have to play it. Yeah, you have
play
to play
it
it
because
out.
you have because like a fighting game is different because it's a little bit more like comparing
It's
it to Dead by
fair.
Dead. It's fair and it's a little bit more intimate, right? Like it's one person
Yes.
versus one person, and it's literally a match of it's a test of skill because there's no
Yes.
RNG unless it's like
Dude,
like
I love the
environmental
word
stuff,
intimate here. The word intimate here is actually so well used. Actually, that's actually
yeah,
such a perfect word
because
for it.
it's literally it's just it's two people and it's a total test of like who literally who is better. And
Like, there's times where I used to play Street Fighter. Like, I don't play it anymore because whatever. But when I was playing Street Fighter 6 pretty actively, there were times where I would run like 3 games against somebody, and in those 3 games, you can learn so much about them. And if you adapt
mhm,
your style, like that is the best feeling ever. But like it happens in DBD sometimes too, when you see how somebody's playing, and if you just make a small adjustment or you make a prediction based on their behaviors and it pays off, that's like such an amazing feeling.
yeah, it's super rewarding. And I mean, you'll see this behavior from fighting game people where like they get their ass kicked, they get perfect gamed like two rounds in a row, and then they rematch instantly. They just keep going and they keep getting their ass kicked and they rematch again. Like it's because they
Yep,
want to
that's
learn.
me. That's me. That's me. I used to play. I have a brother who's like 7 years older than me, and we would play every fighting game together. And that's what it would be: is I would just rematch endlessly until one of us got sick of it, or I would lose to the same character like 12 times. And then if I got a round off on you, I got a round off on you, and that meant something. So
Yeah.
that this is how this I literally had this is like my anime origin story.
It's like oh god, it's like big brother syndrome because like anybody with siblings like you know what that feels like, right? Like you're younger than them and
Yep.
you sit down and you want to play Mario Kart and then your
Mm-hmm.
sibling they kick your ass every time. Like they fucking they absolutely whoop you and they're like you're like, "Oh my god, why aren't you letting me win?" And it's like it's because you're a dumb child and you don't understand the idea of growth,
Yeah,
but
it's not about letting them people win, right? That's so funny. My girlfriend, she's not really a gamer. Like she is, but she doesn't play like a ton of. She likes like single player games. She doesn't really play competitive stuff.
mhm.
And we got into this game. It's called shit. What's it called? Damn. Ultimate Chicken Horse. If you've heard of that one.
No, fuck. No,
Ultimate
tell me
Chicken
about
Horse.
it.
It's a terrific game. It's for 4 players, and it's basically you pick an animal to play as, like a chicken or a horse, and there is a level. It's like a small 2D level where you have to reach a flag at the end. And every round, the players get to modify the level by changing or removing or adding objects. So, you only get points if somebody doesn't make it. So if everybody makes it to the end, you don't get points for that round. And we would play this game like every other day, and she would slowly get better and better at it, and I would never go easy on her. And eventually, she just started beating me, and she was like, "Oh my god, I can like you're not letting me win." I'm like, "No, no, no, you're kicking my ass. That's what's happening. We've played this for like 12 days straight, and now you're good enough to beat me."
Because
And
like
that's what gaming's all about.
yeah, I mean even if you don't know it in the moment, because like we could be real, right? Like like losing sucks. Like it doesn't feel good. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of bringing this back around to Dead by Daylight a little bit. Um, but like getting all the gens done in 5 minutes before you can properly get your pressure up, like that feels terrible. It feels bad, and
Yep.
you feel very out of control. Um, and but it happens. Like we make mistakes, we lose, and we learn. Like I like to save my gameplay on games like that, and I'll go back and I'll see where I made the mistake, because then it helps me
Yep.
learn.
Yeah, sometimes you can bog it down to like a single decision that you made that was like, okay, I did this and this ruined the game. Like there was a match I played where evidently it was a 4-man and they all brought crazy toolboxes, but it's like a fractured cowshed. This Dwight takes me to Shack. There's nothing over there. All the gens on that side are done, and I'm like, I shouldn't chase this guy, but I want to chase this guy. Like I shouldn't chase him, but this is gonna be a fun chase because this guy's really good.
Yeah.
And 2 gens pop while I chase this guy until I get him down. And I poke him basement, whatever. And I'm like, I lost because I chased the Dwight. I understand why I lost, but I sacrificed a W for the sake of having this chase, and I don't care. Like,
well, yeah, because
that was the value.
You took something from that. Like, you learned from that because you chased a really good player, and it gave you more tools to use for your other games against other better players.
Yeah, so, you don't learn anything if you just stomp everybody.
No, and it's
you
like,
just don't.
At the end of the day, like I said, I have 8,000 hours in this game. I have a lot of time that I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit on Dead by Daylight. But I don't play sweaty. Like, I don't give a shit if I win, if I 4K every game. Definitely don't need a 4K at 5 gens every game.
No.
I don't like regression perks just as a whole. I don't like how they're designed. I don't like what they bring into the game. I would rather lose a game badly but have something fun come out of it than win every game by like, hard slugging everybody at 5 gens. Like, sometimes I'll do that, but it's for like it's for a bit, right? Like it's like I want to try this knockout build, like.
Yeah, that's
but
evil.
I'm not doing it to be sweaty. I'm just like I'm trying to experiment. I'm trying to test things and see what works.
Yeah, because we have thousands of hours in the game, and we have to. That's how we make our fun at this point.
Like, I might have to, the survivors might take a loss, and it might not be very fun, but like it's just a game, and I'm not doing it maliciously. Like it's gameplay.
Yeah, for sure.
So, anyways, back to Singularity.
Yeah, sorry, went on a little tangent there.
It's fine. I love discussions like this. Okay, so this one, kind of getting into the more like major changes. This one I'm heartbroken about. I'm so sad about this change. Singularity does not he no longer has a variable overclock. So
yeah, that's nuts.
So what this does right now on live, if you have more than one person slipstreamed, it grants you an extra 1 second of overclock. So you can have, without any add-ons, it's an 8.7 overclock. So 4.7 base, with 4 people slipstreamed, it's 8.7 total. So they just gave him a flat 5.7 seconds now. It doesn't matter how many people you have slipstreamed. It's a flat number. So I'm sad about this change, not because I necessarily liked the longer overclock. Sometimes it's not good to have a longer overclock.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because it's not necessarily a nerf or anything, because sometimes it's like a variable thing where if you sometimes want it and sometimes don't want it.
Yeah. And if you bring because it still affects it. If you bring like the denied requisition form, like you have all 4 people slipstreamed, like you have a really long overclock, like right off the bat. But I'm sad about this being changed, not because of the overclock duration being gone, but it's more so it was nice to have something that rewarded you for playing well. It doesn't necessarily matter what that reward was. I'm kind of sad that that's going away.
Yeah, like it's kind of like the idea of, I guess, comparable to how Legion, like if you get 5 hits on Frenzy, the 5th one's a down, or Plague, if you infect everybody and you run like Thanatophobia, you get crazy value out of that. It's like this idea that you're spreading pressure and you should get something for it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't even necessarily matter what that is. I wish they would have like done something else with it, but because it was a nice like mechanic to have, and also it wasn't listed in his power description ever. People did not know that this was a thing unless you like sat down.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Yeah, I only know about it because I read through the wiki page like a textbook.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you have to do now, apparently. That's for every killer.
And like honestly, you shouldn't have to, but like a lot of killers have that kind of like hidden mechanic. Like Singularity's not the only one that has something like that.
Yes.
But I'm sad that that's going away, because it was like a little like gem. Like it's a little fun fact. Like people are asking about Singularity, like, well, you get a longer overclock if 4 people are slipstreamed, and people go, what? I didn't know that. Like it's
It's funny because I felt it and I never like thought about it. Like there were times where I'm like, I feel like this is going on a bit a bit
yeah.
longer than usual, but I never knew what it was.
Yeah, it's like a subconscious thing almost.
So here's a fun idea. Like like if you could modify the game, if you could have your say, what else would be a cool idea to scale with the number of Slipstream survivors? Like what else could we modify that would be neat? That maybe isn't just overclock timing.
Well, I mean, this kind of goes without saying, but just kind of like for funsies, like if they weren't making the changes to like his biopod cooldown, like maybe the more people you have slipstreamed,
Ah,
like the shorter your cooldown is after you scan somebody. I don't know.
that would be
Um,
cool.
yeah, just something small. Like it's we're throwing you a little bone because you're doing a good job.
Ooh, or like target speed, like scanning speed. Ooh,
Or
because they're
range.
making it slower. Range. Ah, that could be cool. Like the
Yeah.
more, I think the idea of like you're spreading, like you're growing more powerful with the amount of
Yes,
people. You know.
like you because they're slipstream, right? Like you put biopods on the survivors, so it's like because Singularity, like getting into the lore a little bit, like it's all connected, right? Like when he places the biopods, like that's part of him.
That's
So
him. Yeah.
yeah. So it makes sense that it would be a little bit more powerful, like if he's spreading his influence around. Just a
It's
cool
funny
little
because
like
like
thematic thing.
that the idea of scale like rewarding you for having 4 slipstream survivors, like sort of like as a consequence of that, it kind of in a way discourages tunneling
Hmm.
because if the game rewards you, like those things that scale with 4 survivors don't work when somebody dies. You can't get 4 stacks of Thanatophobia if somebody's dead,
Yeah.
right? So if it really made a difference, it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna let this guy live so I can keep my 4 stack bonus, and then like whatever that may be, I'm getting rewarded for it. And like, yeah, that's not something that maybe people would think about, but it's something, right? And I love anything that discourages tunneling or encourages you to spread your pressure. I'm
Yeah.
all about that.
Yeah, no. So I'm really sad that they're taking away that aspect, but I think what they're doing with giving him just a basic flat number is again they're making him easier to understand. It kind of goes back to the whole like accessibility thing because new players
Mm-hmm.
definitely aren't going to know that I slipstream 3 people so my overclock is longer. And also the
Yeah.
survivors, like, like we were talking about, like they don't know how long they need to wait until they can throw this pallet down because they don't know how long the overclock is. So it,
Mm-hmm.
it can cause confusion. It can even cause confusion for Singularity players while they're playing, like
Oh yeah, definitely
because
me. Yeah, especially because I didn't know the overclock times. So there were times where I think that I can swing under this pallet and I can get overheat, or there were times where I think, okay, I can vault this or I can kick this and I'll keep my speed, and then I just lose it. And
hmm
it's just probably because that timing is so inconsistent that I was never 100% confident in my timing.
yeah. So I think it's just something that they added just to make him a little bit more like streamlined, I guess is the word. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
just a
I'd say
easier
so.
to understand number. Like this is how long your overclock is. It doesn't change unless you have an add-on on. So, I know that like some people prefer to have like a shorter overclock. Like a lot of the Singularity players that I know of, they prefer having like a quicker overclock because they can teleport more frequently and they can be a little bit more
Yeah.
like quick in chase.
Yeah, it's so strange because it really depends on the loop. It really depends on the scenario, right?
Yeah,
So it's not necessarily a burf, a nerf,
a,
or a buff, a burf,
it is a
or a burf
burf.
or enough. But I do think that they could have made the kids' ball glove maybe longer because they changed it to 8% from 20%. So I think
Yeah,
that maybe they can raise that number a bit because maybe they can make it so that if you have the add-on, you go back up to the 8 point what seconds. Um,
8.7.
yeah, because right now I think it's like 6 point something with the add-on and PTB. So like, they could probably add a bit to that. Because again, it's not necessarily just flat better.
Yeah, no. I understand why they did it, but it is what it is. I'm not upset about it. It's not a deal breaker for me, but I'm a little bit disappointed. And the
Mm-hmm.
kid's ball glove add-on, somebody ran the numbers and it adds like it's like point four five seconds extra
Yeah,
because of the
yeah,
fact that it
it's
got
like nothing.
yeah, because before it would scale with the overclock too. So it was 15% of
Mm-hmm.
whatever your current overclock is. So if you have 4 people
Yeah,
slipstreamed, it's like 15% of 8.7. But
yeah, it's
now
huge.
It's
Like
just
nothing.
8%. Yeah, it's 8% of 5.7 no matter what. So I don't know. I kind of feel like they gutted that add-on a little bit, but
Yeah, I was surprised to see that the number was reduced. I was like, really?
yeah.
And the rarity was bumped for some reason. Like,
Yeah, what the fuck?
I don't understand. For nothing. For like, yeah,
Why?
what is it? 0.4 seconds.
Yeah, you get like a 6.4 something, like roughly 6.4 second overclock or something like that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely not worth an add-on slot.
no,
Definitely
you,
not at all.
no, there's better options. Um, okay, so let's talk about EMPs a little bit because
Hmm.
we haven't, we've been here
Oh
for
yeah.
an hour and we haven't talked about EMPs, not that much. But
Hmm.
the big one is the passive printing for the crates was changed where it now stops at 97% and the survivors have to punch the last 3% in manually before they can pick it up.
Love it.
I love
Absolutely
it
love it.
too. I love it.
Hmm.
On paper, I was a little bit concerned. Like, this doesn't seem like it's long enough. Like, I would bump it to like 95% or 90%.
Hmm.
But playing games out and seeing like the impact, like, no, 97 is a perfect number. Because it just, all it does is it prevents them from picking it up like in your face in chase.
Yeah, and that shit sucks.
Yeah,
That shit feels terrible
it's so
when you
bad.
like when you're in a chase and they cleanse like two, maybe even three times in a single chase. I'm like, bro, I'm so tired.
Yeah, it's super,
Like,
super irritating. Um, so I like this because it prevents that, but it doesn't necessarily stop people from just people who want to keep one handy. Like they just kind of they go pick it up. Like it's fine.
yeah, I think this was a nice idea. I mentioned that my idea for this before the dev notes were released was I wanted the supply crate printing speed to slow down with more EMPs in play. So like if you had four in play, it would move a lot slower than if there was one in play.
Hmm.
This is a nice. I think this is a really good solution from Behavior's part, and also the fact that survivors can open it and leave the EMP inside is really nice as well.
Yeah, because if you're like in a coordinated team, like you can have a designated person go around and like finish all the prints and leave them open, and then you have the problem before where
Yeah,
like they could just pick them up and chase, but like
yeah, but it's
they
also
had to
you've
work for
created like a
that.
secondary objective. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
it's like if you could preemptively do like pig boxes before you had your hat on or something,
yeah,
you know.
but it creates more options for both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I see a video of a team doing that and it pays off, that's amazing. Like
That's impressive.
maybe if I play with my format, like we're pretty casual, so we don't usually
Yeah,
strategize that hard. But when you're slipstreamed, you see all the EMP boxes, right? So you could have that one person who's slipstreamed to be like, yeah, just go and do all the boxes, and then it makes our lives easier.
yeah. No, and also the another change that they made was the crates, the auras, they have a shorter range for when a survivor can see them when they're not slipstreamed. Because when they are slipstreamed, like they can see them globally, like it doesn't matter the range. But
Yes.
when they are not slipstreamed, right now it's 32 meters, and I think they reduced it to 28 meters, I want to say.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was 28 meters. So basically they made heavy water base kit, and I could rant forever about current heavy water. That add-on is so garbage.
I
I
didn't even
fucking
realize that
hate
that
heavy
was the
water.
add-on. I literally never used that thing, so I had no idea that what heavy water was.
Oh my god, I hate heavy water.
That's funny.
It's because on live, like it doesn't do
It
anything.
it
It
does
it
nothing.
does nothing. Like
I
they
think
can
it still does nothing. Doesn't it just still do the same thing in PTB?
yeah, it's not changed, but the fact that it does something now because the range is shorter, so it
Yeah.
makes it more so. So it's still a dog shit add-on, but
Yeah.
it's not straight up useless anymore.
It's less dog shit.
It's
Yeah.
less dog shit. It's dog shit with a little bit of glitter thrown on it. So
I feel Yeah, I feel like a compromise there would be maybe making it so either you don't see auras when you're not slipstreamed, or if it lowered the range when you are slipstreamed. I think that would make it a worthwhile add-on.
yeah,
But yeah, in its current state, I would never run that.
I've never used that add-on. It sucks. Um, So even just the passive range right now, so lowering it to 28 meters, I found that it has like a very interesting like side effect almost, and this kind of gets into like psychology a little bit, like mental, like people
Mm-hmm.
mentally, because right now, if a survivor is sitting on a generator, and they're just chilling. They're doing their gens. They're hitting their M1s. Their skill checks, and they constantly have the crate aura like in their peripheral vision, right? Like they can see when
Mm-hmm.
it opens up because you can see the aura of it when it's ready. So they're watching it, and it's constantly in their like line of sight because they can see it.
Yeah.
So all they have to do is run over and pick it up. Now, depending on where they are, sometimes they don't have a crate like in their immediate like peripheral vision, so they have to make a
Yeah. Yeah.
choice. They can either sit on their gen and risk being like found and pushed off of it, or they can go seek one out, and they have to actually go look around for one.
Yeah, and yeah, 28 meters is still like pretty decent. Like you shouldn't have too much trouble with that. Um,
It's more
this
so
kind of
just
brings up
sorry, go ahead.
this kind of brings up what I call like the windows of opportunity problem,
Hmm.
where when people talk about windows being like a crutch perk or something like that, and they don't know how to play without it, I kind of like my solution is just like, yo, just look at the map, look around the map. Like if you don't have windows, just walk around.
Yeah.
And that's how you figure out where everything is. Like that's all you have to do is you just have to check loops before you're in chase, and that's the solution. Yeah, you'll lose some time. You'll lose like time you could be spending on a gen, but that's how you make up the difference. And that's the same idea, right? Where you might have to just look around a bit. You can't just sit on a gen and get everything for free.
Yeah, no, and like the really good survivor players that don't use windows, like Taterhead, crazy good survivor. Doesn't run
Mm-hmm.
any perks ever.
Is that the
And
guy with like the two like the millions and millions of blood points because he
yes,
doesn't
that's
spend them?
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what he does, like if you ever watch him play, because he doesn't use perks. So
Yeah,
before he does anything, he goes and he checks and he sees what tiles he has to work with, and he makes a game plan before he does anything else.
that's smart.
That dude can lead killers on 5 gen chases with no perks like nobody else.
It's wild.
Like crazy. But that's what really good survivors do, is even if they go, they find a gen they want to work on, like a key generator, and then they see what's in their immediate area. They make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like, I'm
that's
gonna check main. I'm gonna check these windows. I don't know what I'm working with.
yeah. The only argument that I have for Windows is if you're playing solo queue, sometimes it's nice to see which pallets your teammates have used before you get to the tile.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, pal.
So
That's always useful.
that's a good use of that perk, in my opinion. But the EMPs, like I said, I think just having them like not in the survivors like immediate peripheral vision, like they don't have them in their eye line immediately all the time, so they're not just like spamming EMPs constantly. They actually have to go
Mm-hmm.
find one.
That's cool for me, man.
So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I don't know what they're doing to EMPs exactly, because they said that their range was decreased to 8 meters from 10 meters, but in the patch notes it says it was increased from 8 meters to 10 meters. But I'm pretty
What?
sure I'm pretty sure it's already 10 meters on
Yeah.
live.
I'll let me. I'm gonna check the wiki because I'm not sure, but I think I think it is 10 meters. Let's see.
So they were doing like a
That's
preview of the patch notes, and somebody read it as, oh, they decreased the change, and then Mandy, she jumped in, she's like, actually I think they increased it. So everybody's confused
uh,
about what this change is.
okay. On the wiki, it says the EMP is 10 meters.
That's what I thought. So it is a nerf.
So yeah. Oh man, hold
Why?
on. Let me think. I don't think it's necessary. I think the EMP range is fine. Like if you're having trouble with like EMP ranges, then you learn how to adjust your biopod placement. You're like, okay, it discourages players from putting all their pods in the same area.
Hmm.
And that's and I don't 10 meters. And yeah, it's annoying if you're in chase and somebody runs up and pops you're the guy you're chasing. But like whatever, 8 meters isn't gonna make a huge difference compared to 10 meters. So it doesn't really. I don't think it's a necessary nerf. If they walk this back to 10, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, no, I don't think that they were. I think EMPs were fine. Like I know a lot of people, like I want to say, like the people who they play Singularity like very casually, like they just pick him up and they play him so often, every so
Mm-hmm.
often. They're the ones who are always complaining about EMPs being overpowered. Um, I
Yeah,
can tell you
and
right
it's
now,
because
it's
it's
it's because they're putting their pods on generators.
yeah, and you can still like if you're in a 3 gen scenario and you really want to lock it down, you can usually get 2 pods on the same gen.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
maybe one of them only sees one side of the gen. Maybe on indoor maps it's too hard, whatever. Either way, you're gonna have enough info to work with regardless. You don't really need to have like a perfect 3 gen all the time.
No, it's kind of like you were saying, like it's kind of a last ditch scenario. Like, wow, the game is really coming down to the wire, and I just really need to lock down this 3 gen to get my final push of pressure. So like in that scenario, it's good to do it. Like it can save games sometimes, but if you're going
Hmm.
in and your intent is to 3 gen from like the start of the game, EMPs they should hard counter that because it's not a healthy playstyle.
Yeah, yeah, and like you're kind of like playing a lose.
Yeah.
Like I hate to say that, but like my plan is usually like, okay, they shouldn't even get that far, and if and if they do get that far, then fuck it, I'll play around it, whatever. I'll play around endgame,
Yeah.
whatever. It's I we can lock down gates like so incredibly. If you're anticipating a loss of a 3 gen, then you can preemptively set up your gates, and that's it's like your trapper. Like it's such a hard counter to exit gates.
Yeah.
Um, so like you have a lot of options. You don't, whatever. If somebody, I don't know, 10 meters is fine. Like basically.
Yeah, no, and I mean, even right now, like if you're playing Singularity like in a really aggressive playstyle, like your whole goal is to use like your pods for chases. EMPs don't do
Hmm.
anything. They don't do anything.
Yeah, because you just reset your pods, whatever. Like it's not that
Yeah,
big of a deal.
like they slipstream or they EMP themselves. You just put another pod up and you slipstream them, and the chase resumes. Like it doesn't. It's not that much of a difference. And people like if you're chasing somebody, just slipstream them. It doesn't take you that long to throw up a pod and tag them, and then just make them waste the EMP. So they're
Yeah, like my mentality is like you are going to go down eventually, and
mhm.
a bad pod placement or an EMP will just buy you some time, but eventually you're going to go down. And yeah, that time can be life or death. That time can be the difference between hitting a pain res on a 100% gen or hitting a pain res on a 10% gen. But like it's not that crazy. Like it's not that big of a deal. You're gonna win that chase if you know what you're doing. You're gonna win that chase. And there are certain loops where it can be extremely frustrating to have to replace a pod, run the loop again, scan them again, and then TP. I get it, but that's the counterplay that we have because we have such a powerful killer that we need to have some counterplay.
Yeah, there has to be some balance. Like I love Singularity, I love playing the killer, but I don't want him to be like busted. Like he needs counterplay. Like every killer needs counterplay.
Mm-hmm. And it's
So
really satisfying when you fight a squad that's or even a single survivor who knows how to play against you, and it's so refreshing to be like, oh my god, our battle will be legendary. Like seriously.
have you noticed when you play against survivors that it's like two levels of extreme because you either get people who don't know what they're doing at all, like they have no idea
Yep.
what the Singularity does, or they
Yep.
know every single trick in the book.
Yeah.
They can just
Yeah.
they
Like
counterplay you at every turn. It's like, damn, you
oh
guys
my
know what you're
god.
doing. Who are you playing against? Like,
And it's always like, and it might just be like a thing about keeping your cool in a chase, but it's always like I feel like whenever I'm getting against a good survivor, that's when everything stops working. That's when my scans hit 99 and they stop, or that's when my biopods miss when they shouldn't miss. Or like
hmm
I'm supposed to TP, but instead I shoot the biopod of like the couch that's next to them, or some
yeah,
something tiny like that, and like it's fine. I love those chases. It's fine. I'm not John Wick. I don't need to 100% like execute everybody with no effort. That's not as fun. So the challenge is good. The hunt is good.
yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, EMPs are fine as they are. This change was super unnecessary, and I'm just gonna be so real. If you think this is like a good change, it's kind of a self-report.
Yeah, honestly, like
I don't want to be
because again,
rude, but
I would agree if people who I know I don't like a lot of people saying like this makes him too easy, this makes him too easy, but this nerf was unnecessary.
yeah,
Like we I like that they're encouraging counterplay with a lot of these survivor changes.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. So yeah, this one does need to get reverted. I agree with Twitter on this one. Um, so a big change here, really big change. When you slipstream a survivor, you now get Killer Instinct on them for 3 seconds. And if they pass that slipstream to another survivor, both survivors get Killer Instinct on them for 3 seconds.
Yeah,
How do we
kind of
feel about this one?
nuts. Kind of unnecessary. Like I like it, but it does kind of feel like a free budget version of Crew Manifest, which
Yeah.
is a freaking purple, by the way.
Yeah.
Like it's not it's not a common add-on, so maybe a little too powerful. Um, I don't know. How do you feel?
I I'm so like mixed on it because I'm very 50-50 on this because when I slipstream a survivor like manually, like with a biopod, and I get the killer instinct on that survivor, it's really nice because it helps me orient myself a little bit.
Yes.
It's the same thing as like the yellow aura. Like it's really good to tell like where this person is and where they're going like a little bit without actually seeing
Mm-hmm.
like their aura. So I like that part of that. That's a really good change. It feels really good. I don't like the killer instinct on the spread because if people are in the corner
Yes.
healing and I
They're
hear
gonna
it,
spread.
yeah, it's like I now have the knowledge that I know exactly where they're resetting, so I can just walk over there and pressure them, or I can throw a cam up and I can slipstream
Yeah.
them again or teleport to them. I think
I
it's too
think that would
much.
be a nice compromise if they remove the killer instinct on spread survivors, because that kind of creates what I call like the Wesker problem, where when you get unhooked after being infected by Wesker, it's like a lose lose.
Hmm.
Like, okay, if I heal, he knows I healed. If I disinfect, he knows that I've cleansed and he knows where I am. But either way, I'm one shot. Either I'm injured or I'm one shot because I'm infected.
Yeah,
And like, I hate that conundrum. I'm so glad they nerfed that aspect of Wesker a little bit.
yeah,
I still think it's a pain in the ass. I still think it's awful. So if they remove the killer instinct on spread, I think that's totally fine.
yeah. Because I mean, even
Um,
with Wesker, you can make the argument that that's one survivor that's just sprayed themselves, and even then, they could heal before they spray. So now they're healthy. So a lot of the times, it's like it's not worth going over there. Um, but with
mhm.
Singularity, it's like if you have somebody that you know, you have one person slipstreamed and they run and they go to heal their teammate before they EMP because I don't know, people do that for some reason. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
they spread it to their injured teammate while they're healing, and now you have the knowledge of where half the team is. Like
Two people
it's
are.
crazy.
Yeah, and it does take away value from like crew manifest, which
Yeah,
I and like might want to encourage the usage of add-on variety. So, and also like I do think the killer instinct is just like really distracting. Like
it is.
it is
Yeah,
useful, but I visually it's so noisy that I sometimes I'm like, is this gonna screw up my aim? Like who knows? Um,
I
but
think
yeah,
it also
mixed
kind
feelings
of
on this one.
yeah, like I said, I like it on the manual slipstream because it's nice, but having the knowledge of people resetting, like it, or just spreading in general, because you could argue like if survivors smarten up, you know, once these changes go to live and they get used to them and they go, oh well, now people are just going to EMP before they reset. Well, live wires still exists,
Yeah, that's
so
good. Oh yeah, true. This also, yeah, I love live wires. I always run live wires.
it's a good add-on.
It's so good. Yeah, for real. Oh my god. But like now with all this extra info, do I even need it? Who knows?
Yeah. That aspect I do think it makes him a little bit more like I don't want to say brain dead, but it makes his decision making kind of a little bit more like autopilot because now you have the knowledge of where two people are. Um
Yeah, two people is huge.
it's half the team.
Yeah,
But the biggest L here is that it makes crew manifest absolutely useless.
yeah,
Be-
and that's a great add-on. Like it's such a good add-on.
it's very underrated. Right now it gives you all the info like that you need because you still get that information like oh they healed but they spread their goop around but you see their aura so I mean you could
Mm-hmm.
argue that it's the same information but you have a purple rarity add-on to tell you that it's not base kit and
Yeah,
now
it's
you
also
have
funny
that
that
base
like
kit.
the killer instinct, like my appeal of live wires was like, okay, this beats distortion. And
Hmm.
now this killer instinct beats
Oh,
everything. There's nothing that prevents killer instinct. Like
no,
it just
it's
beats everything.
uncounterable. It's literally uncounterable. They didn't distortion, calm spirit, like yeah, so I have mixed feelings on it. I'm very sad that Crew Manifest is like a totally irrelevant add-on now, especially being as high of a rarity as it is. I don't know if they could fix this by doing something else to Crew Manifest, like giving it a new effect, or just changing the
Hmm.
killer instinct in general.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement that it just shouldn't trigger on spread. It should just trigger on manual scans.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, and I think a lot of people, even like, even the bigger, like the more like hardcore Singularity players, I think they all agree with that too. At
Yeah.
least from what I've
I
seen.
will I will fly to Montreal right now and I will knock on their door. Like I love that. I love Montreal. I haven't been there in a few years. I love that place so much. I will go there and I will find them. And I will give them this discussion like on a USB drive.
Oh my god.
I'll be like, listen, you gotta listen to me.
Well, you know,
My name is
my whole
Doinko.
ship it to them in a thumb drive in an Amazon package. Like,
That's sketchy. I
oh
would
my
put that
god.
in my computer. But also if a random dude who's from another freaking province comes
Oh my
and says,
god,
I
that's
flew to Montreal
funny.
just to give this to you. You have to listen to me. Don't put this live. It's too strong.
But like that's kind of why we're doing this. Like we're having this discussion because the PTB is for testing changes and it's for giving feedback. That's kind of what we're doing
Yes.
here is we're discussing the changes and what we like, what we don't like. Um, and we just have to hope to God that the right people listen because
Yes.
that's the whole point. And giving
Like,
feedback in a positive, like a constructive criticism way, rather than just going on to Dead by Daylight's Twitter page and be like, "This fucking sucks, revert it."
yeah, dude, that shit makes me so mad, man.
The social media people can totally do something about it. You know, they can totally like nerf blight. Like that, yes, they're in charge of that. Like it's definitely not a whole team of people who all have different jobs and responsibilities.
Oh my gosh, man. Like Twitter stuff made me so mad, man. Like I don't know, man. It's just so negative, like for no reason. And like behavior, they've been announcing far in advance of their roadmaps which killers they're addressing, and they didn't mention the Singularity. So it was such a surprise to see that
Yeah.
dev notes, the dev notes post that they made. So it's so goofy to, like you're saying, these people are self-reporting. It's so goofy for people to be like, oh, this sucks, even though like it was something they didn't say they were gonna do, and it's
Mhm.
amazing. It's like objectively amazing.
You know,
So
like there
yeah,
have
we don't
been
claim those people.
yeah, no, we don't claim those people. They're not our people. Um, the roadmaps, you know, when they did the last like the really big roadmap where they talked about like the blight changes and the ultimate weapon changes, like it had all that stuff listed. It was like a 6-month period. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it, but there was an original version that was put up on Reddit on accident by the devs, and it did have the Singularity on there for like the end of the
Oh,
quarter. It
I've
was
never seen that.
it was corrected very quickly, but some people had like saved it because they were like, "Why is Singularity getting changes?" And this was months ago. This was like the end, like I think this was like supposed to happen in like April, like right before the
Oh,
anniversary. Um,
wild.
so that got scrapped because they put the correct one, and those are the changes that we ended up getting, like the blight changes and all that, and the twins changes, and but yeah, so people think that that was like maybe a bit of a precursor to what we have here.
Strange. I wonder if it was just like a thing. It might have just been a thing where they weren't sure if they were going to have the time to do these things, and then
Hmm.
maybe due to some internal changes, like they just lost a bunch of staff, right? They lost like
Yeah.
a huge amount of staff members, so maybe they were like, okay, we're not gonna be able to do it, and then maybe like just due to like work related changes and priorities and stuff, they did end up having time to do Singularity, and they're like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah, also like I was saying that we know we kind of know that they've been working on him, right? Because of that audio bug with the EMP audio bug.
Yes.
Why
Yeah,
would
it
that
means that someone was
happen?
tweaking stuff, right?
Why would that happen? Yeah, if somebody wasn't
Hmm.
messing around with Singularity or
I don't know. The game kind of works like that,
I
where
mean
like
it
they
yeah.
they change the twins, and then Decisive Strike gets bugged. like,
I mean, I'm kind of just like conspiracy theory on that one,
yes.
but that's my personal theory. Like maybe they were
Hmm.
tweaking him, like maybe they were kind of testing. That no, because I have more to back this theory up. The crew manifest, the text,
Oh,
the effect that's on PTB right now is currently the description for crew manifest on live.
really?
Yep. So
Wait,
people
but
thought
I took the screenshot on live though. The one I sent, I took that screenshot on live though, where it says 6 seconds. That's
for
not from the wiki. That's from me.
let's see
No
for
shot.
let's see, dude. I don't see crew manifest on here on the
Oh wait, no. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, I didn't even do Crew Manifest. You're right. I didn't even. I only did the ones
That's
that are
fine.
different.
But you know,
So they changed the description.
yeah, I don't know
Oh.
when this happened. It was pointed out to me like right after Vecna got released because
Oh my
people were
gosh.
people were freaking out because they're like, did they nerf crew manifest? Because the text that's in the PTB right now, so it just talks about the slipstream spread, and it doesn't talk about the manual slipstream.
Oh.
People thought it got nerfed, so a bunch of us were like going into customs and testing it. Like, no, no, it still works how it should on live, and that was before this change was announced. So somebody like messed up because the text is still like it doesn't match with the actual effect. People thought it got nerfed.
Crazy. What? That's insane. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So that's my big like point of evidence. Like I think they were messing with Singularity.
For like a
So
little while, hey? Damn.
yeah, like at least around Vecna's release before these were even announced. So definitely a bit of a precursor there because some people even called it. They're like, I wonder if he's going to be getting changes in the mid chapter. And he
Oh my
is.
god, that's so crazy.
But
Y'all, there's like a secret Larry society and you guys are not including me and I'm
it's Coco Latte's Discord server.
Oh yeah, of course it is. God damn it, I should just be in there.
Yeah, all the Larry players are in there.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's where we all talk and we spread our fucking conspiracy theories
I
and
need to be
post
in there,
pictures
man.
of
I know
cats.
I'm too antisocial. I need to be in there.
I'm antisocial as well. I have a hard time talking to people, but when I like
Mhm.
I've been so vocal on Twitter about these changes and I'm never vocal on Twitter. Like I try and
Dude,
stick
I see you out there fighting the good fight.
I like to mind my business and tuck my head in the corner. I don't like to like confront people, but this is something I'm really passionate about. So like the fact that
Yes.
I'm being so vocal about this, like it means
Yeah.
something.
I will throw hands.
Yeah, I saw your tweet this morning about the getting getting really getting really drunk. That shit had me dying.
Oh my god, dude, like you have no clue. I was like, dog, cuz like I don't I don't mind being a bit of an asshole sometimes, and I'm like, bro, I will call out all these people hardcore. I
Oh my
will just
god.
go on a rant. I
It
will.
had me dying. I was like, yes, please. Speak your truth, King. But but while we're kind of on the topic of add-ons, let's really talk about like the ones that he got changed.
Yeah, there's a
Some of them we
bunch.
talked about. Um, we just talked about Crew Manifest. We talked about Ball Glove a little bit. We talked about Ultrasonic Sensor. Um, so starting with the browns, because he has a new brown rarity one now. It used to be a
Mhm.
yellow. It's the Diagnostic tool, and what that did on live is that's the Sloppy Butcher add-on. So
Yes.
it's if you hit somebody out of or while you're in overclock, they get mangled and hemorrhage. I think it's 60 seconds or is it 90?
It's just mangled and it's 60.
Oh, it's just mangled. It's not hemorrhage. Okay.
Yeah, and 60 seconds isn't that crazy.
No, that was really that was that used to be an infinite it used to be an
Like
infinite
forever.
duration, but
Yeah.
that got changed when the Sloppy Butcher changes came through. So,
Yes.
um I haven't used that add-on too much, but what they did is they made it a brown and it has a new effect where it increases the range of the biopod by 4 meters.
That's so good.
This
That's
add-on is
so good.
absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I'm using this.
I've been using it on the PTB as well. I honestly like I wouldn't be surprised if this add-on got nerfed before it went to live because it is crazy good for a brown rarity too. Because
Yeah, 4 meters makes a huge difference.
it like literally like you put a pod up on a like a high ass building on like Toba Landing and you snipe people across it's stupid. It's so good. Like I would be fine. This is fun. Like I would use this if it went to live, but I do think it probably needs to be adjusted because it is very powerful.
Yeah, I'm into it. I haven't tried it yet, but like I can imagine a lot of scenarios where this would have made a huge difference in a match. Um, for sure, like hitting stuff that you would not be hitting normally.
Yeah, for sure. This like, I can't believe it's a brown. Like it's such a like a free add-on.
Yeah, I don't, especially since they made Kids Ball Glove a yellow and now it's worse,
Yeah.
which is strange to me.
Yeah, they there's some backwards like what did
They
they
could have
do?
stayed in their rarities. They didn't have to move at all.
Yeah, they could have just given it the new effect and kept it a yellow. It would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
So Cryogel's a little bit interesting because this is kind of talking about two in one.
Ah,
Because the effect for Cryogel now is it increases the speed at which Slipstream spreads between survivors. It's 25% faster. They just took that effect and they put it on Android Arm, which is the range that it spreads. So that's a two in one add-on now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Cryogel now has a new effect where it kind of takes the place of the Diagnostic tool, where it does
It's hemorrhage. Gotcha.
hemorrhage. Yeah, so it's only hemorrhage for 60 seconds, not mangled. Um,
Yeah, I
this
guess
is
that could
weird.
help in like a chase or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it's a really weird change. I don't really know why they did it this way, but
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of whatever. I don't see myself using the new Cryogel very much. I mean, I guess it could
Not
be
at
good
all.
in the right build, but it
Yeah, like
kind
it
of
beats like does Lucky Break take away pools of blood? Like
yeah, it
I
does.
don't so who fucking all it does is counter Lucky Break, it doesn't even counter Lucky Break. Who gives a
Yeah,
shit? It doesn't do anything.
yeah. I mean, hemorrhage is the. I mean, God, I hate to be like that, but this is going to be a really good like tunneling add-on because
Yeah,
there.
and I feel like hemorrhage is only really useful like over a long period of time in terms of like the whole like interrupting heals sort of factor
Yeah,
to it. Otherwise, it's just for chase.
yeah, and I mean, aside from that, like just bring Sloppy Butcher because it does the same thing
Exactly,
and it's
because you get
better.
mangled and it's 90 seconds. It's fucking stupid. 60.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah. This is
I
just
wouldn't
a
like. Man, it's kind of cringe. It just kind of does nothing.
yeah. It kind of doesn't do anything. I don't really care for this. Like I said, I probably won't use it. I wasn't a big fan of like the old Cryogel either, but I think it had its purpose. It wasn't crazy good, but it was kind of comfy.
Yeah, I don't even know how long it takes for Slipstream to spread normally.
I think you have to be within range for like it's like 1 point. I have the numbers somewhere. I just don't have them with me, but I think it's like 1.5 seconds.
You know what? I have the wiki open. I can just look at that. 2 seconds within
I was close.
6 meters.
Okay. So
That's
that
yeah, that's neat.
yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I do, however, like that they combined it with Android Arm because now it's just it does the same thing that it did before, but now it's better.
Yeah, Android Arm might actually make a huge difference between 6 meters to 8 meters. Like I've never used it, but that's a significant difference.
Yeah, and it's faster because now it does the same thing that Cryogel used to do without running two add-ons. So I feel like, I mean, I don't think it's like meta, but it's a good add-on. Like it's decent.
Mm-hmm.
So sad about Cryogel, happy about Android Arm. Um, I think some good, some bad, but definitely a little bit more add-on variety going on there, which I really like and I appreciate. Um, so Nanomachine Gel. We talked about this one earlier that it used to inflict broken after you would hit somebody in overclock. It has a brand new effect where it
It's pretty
decreases the
good.
yeah.
It's pretty good.
I, I, I'm gonna be totally real. I think this is his best add-on now.
Probably. It really 15% is humongous.
Yeah, so it reduces the biopod cooldown by 15 seconds after you slipstream in Survivor. So when your biopod goes on cooldown, it's not on cooldown for as long. Yeah, so this is genuinely like one of his best add-ons now. Considering that Soma got changed, this is probably his best add-on. And it's a green now. You don't have to run a purple every game.
So let me just see this real quick because they reduced the targeting cooldown to 3 seconds already.
Yeah.
So it's now 2.55 seconds if you have that add-on, which
Yeah,
is
that's
really
crazy.
fucking fast.
I've been playing with this a lot in the PTB and it feels so damn good to use. Like genuinely. I don't know if you do you know what the cam tech is?
Yeah, you like switch to a broken pod and then you switch back. And it
Yes.
resets your cooldown.
That's been patched out now. So you can't
Oh,
do that anymore.
well, you know what? I never learned it anyway. I was always too lazy to learn
Yeah,
it.
I mean it was super easy to do, but it was very kind of like nation dependent on the survivors.
Like situational. You have to know. You have to have a broken pod and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
But when it worked, it was game winning, game changing.
Yes,
Um
absolutely.
so that's gone now. But now you have Nanomachine Gel, which is like a budget cam tech. Cuz
Yeah, and it's always on.
yeah. So I'm happy about this cuz we really didn't have anything that affected like his cooldowns on live. So that's kind of adding to his like comfort level, which I really like.
It's a nice handling thing. It's like how Huntress has like Oakhaft or whatever, but she winds up faster. It's just those nice little handling add-ons. I'd be
Yeah.
into it. I'm probably gonna run this all the time.
Yeah, cuz this doesn't really like change his power too much. It just makes the power that he already has. It makes him more comfortable. Um
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know if people consider this add-on like really strong or really busted. I think it's I think it's really good though. Like I said, I think it's his best one now. Um, People have been combining it with the brown repair tool and having a quick cooldown on top of being able to snipe people. So that's like the combo now.
That's smart. That's really smart, actually.
That's
It's like,
like
you
the
know what? I don't
go-to
feel like
combo.
walking. I don't feel like walking. I don't want to do it.
Sniper Larry. Now we have a Sniper Larry build. Even more variety.
Okay, that's literally okay. We can get into this later. But I wanted to do a segment on like hypothetical add-ons that don't exist, but we would like them to exist. And
Uh-huh.
I have an add-on in mind that's very similar to the idea of Sniper Larry. But we'll save that for later.
Okay, okay. I'm into it. I dig it. Okay, so going into the purples now. Diagnostic tool. He has two diagnostic tools. I don't know why. Terrible design choice, but you know what? That's a
Yeah, I don't know
nitpick.
why they named it. All they had to name it was like repair tool and construction tool.
Yeah, this
But
is a.
anyway,
It's such a nitpick, but it can get really confusing because it's like, oh, diagnostic tool. Like, okay, which one? Um,
yeah.
so the purple diagnostic tool. This is a really small change. It's not really consequential. All it does is it reveals the auras of pickup. It reveals the auras of survivors who pick up an EMP out of a crate. It's been upped from 6 seconds to 8 seconds. So
Mhm.
kind of a whatever change, but cool, I guess.
Yeah, it's an add-on I have not used very much, but I can imagine it being really good, especially if you're like me. I don't usually run info perks, so
Hmm.
this is a nice way to like have info without having info perks
Yeah, and what people used to do is they used to run this with Crew Manifest because then you saw their auras when they got
all the
slipstreamed, and then
time.
you'd see their
All
auras
the
when they
time.
pick up an EMP. So, um,
Lethal Pursuer, you just
yeah,
they go on for like 10 seconds.
just wall hacks, Larry. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm kind of indifferent about this change. I don't really care. I'm not really excited about it, but I don't hate it either. So I'm gonna skip over Soma because that's kind of a bigger conversation. But
Mhm.
Iridescent Crystal Shard, his
Oh, that get changed?
it was changed to 10 seconds. So its aura reading was also
Oh,
increased.
that's the wall hacks. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So you place a
Huh.
biopod, you see no, it was not the duration. No, wait, was it the duration of the range? I think it was the range. It was bumped to 10 meters, I think.
Oh, crazy.
So it just does
That's a
what it does
lot.
slightly better. Yeah.
That's 10 meters is huge. Oh my gosh.
just
Okay.
just for placing a biopod. So I
Yeah,
know
for like nothing.
a lot of people don't like that add-on because they don't.
I think
They're
it's
like,
fine.
yeah,
It's fine. Every killer gets wall hack add-ons.
yeah,
Man, it's cool. Freaking
um,
clown has 2 wall hack add-ons. It's fine.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think it needs to be changed. I don't think it's complete garbage like people claim it
And it's a
is.
pink. It's a freaking pink.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
No.
I am P 23, 24 now, and I only have like 30 of these things. Like, I don't
Yeah.
have a ton of these.
Oh my god. The add-on is really funny if you hate distortion because you just keep placing pods next to
Yeah,
something
you
and it
just
just keeps eating their
burn all of this.
stacks.
That's what's up.
I've seen that happen where I'll see somebody that clearly has distortion, so I'll just place like 4 or 5 pods next to them and chew through all their stacks, and then they'll they'll be healing across the map like way far away from me, and I'll see them on like barbecue and chili or something, and I'll walk over to them
Yeah,
and they'll commit to the heal because they did not think that
because
I
they
could
think.
see them. Because it does its job. It's fine for what it is, but yeah. Just another small change to that one.
That's nice. Yeah, I didn't even know. I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, that one it's super minor. Um Rec form did not get changed, which I was very surprised about. I thought for sure that add-on would get nerfed.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine. I think rec form is fine. Again, it's a pink. It's like comparable to does the unknown have one where everyone starts
Yeah,
infected? I
it's
mean,
also an
Wesker has
iridescent.
one where everyone starts infected and he that guy one-shots you. Like
Yeah.
it's not that crazy. It's kind of like pink the pig has the one where everyone starts with their hats on, which is kind of not always good. Um you know, it's comparable to that stuff, and that's when I look at like really powerful add-ons, I usually just compare to like what do other killers have,
Yeah, and
and
that's fair.
by comparison, Larry's stuff is pretty tame. I think by
Hmm.
comparison.
The only reason I have an issue with rec form, I don't even really have an issue. Like I use the damn thing too, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that just the way that he works, like being able to teleport to people, it's a very good like snowball add-on, and
Oh yeah,
that's really what enables people to do like slug everybody at 5 gens. Like it's all that add-on. That's what
yeah.
enables
You could
that.
definitely if would you run that with like infectious fright, like
Hmm.
forced hesitation, some shit like that. This game is over,
Yeah.
and Yeah, that's crazy. But at least, in my opinion, those games, if they're over, at least they're over.
Yeah, I mean they're over pretty quickly. Like I
Yeah,
said, I mean it's a very powerful add-on. I don't think there's any like jerking, especially because it has the secondary effect where it makes the EMPs print slower on the first print. So
yeah.
like literally all it takes is for you to bring like Lethal Pursuer, teleport to somebody, and then just start
And
slugging everybody because they can't get their
snowballing from there.
EMPs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the add-on is stupid.
They deserved it. That's what they get for queuing Survivor.
Oh my god. I don't even know what I would change it. I'm just surprised that it didn't get changed.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like we could talk about again like my whole hypothetical add-on thing. Like a lot of newer killers, like if you look at Vecna or like the Unknown, they have some really fun add-on design. And
Hmm.
part of me was kind of hoping that Larry would get some of those really fun like add-ons that severely change your playstyle. And I'm glad they didn't change all of his stuff too much because sometimes change isn't necessary. But I
Yeah.
would have really liked some goofy ass add-ons that severely changed how he works.
I think the closest thing we have to that is like the new ultrasonic sensor, like the tear radius one. I think that's the closest thing
Yeah,
we got to
that's
like
really cool. I love that. Especially with
yeah.
like monitor. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's definitely going in my paranoia Larry build.
Oh, maybe dude, if I have time to play PTB today, I'm gonna try some Stealth Larry for sure.
Yeah, uh so that's probably the only like funny add-on that we got. And I do wish there was more, but I'm also glad that he got
Hmm.
some more like comfortable add-ons, which is always good. Um okay, so the really really big one. So Soma family photo.
Yeah.
This add-on is currently his best add-on according to
And it's
most.
and it kind of still is. It's still pretty good
Hear me out
in the
though, because I have
PTB.
some arguments for that. Um
Okay.
So right now, what it does is it gives you 5% haste while you're in overclock. Simple, straightforward. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It has no prerequisite. It has no downside, and it makes him very, very powerful, especially with something like rec form, because
Yeah.
you keep teleporting to people, and then you have haste, and then you have rapid brutality. So it makes him have. I think you can have up to like. Well, with rapid, it's 10% haste on live. That
Yeah,
is
crazy.
insanely strong in overclock. Um, so this add-on has been completely reverted. It's been completely changed. He now has 3% base kit haste, which feels very nice, and it doesn't feel like as potent. But what
Yes.
it does is it reduces his clunkiness because when you teleport, you have that little like wake up period where you move kind of slow. This kind of just reduces that feeling of like stiffness when you teleport. That's kind of what Soma
Mm-hmm.
was good for before, but with extra haste, it became absolutely like lethal. Um, so now the base kit haste is it makes it a little bit it reduces that clunkiness, but with rapid you have an 8% haste, which is still really good, but it's not as powerful as it was before.
Mm-hmm.
So the new Soma, what it does is when you slipstream somebody with a biopod, only with the biopod, not if
Yeah,
they
you hear
spread
that
it.
behavior? You already solved the fucking diagnostic tool problem. You already solved the killer instinct problem.
So when you slipstream somebody with a very specifically with a biopod, they get 3% hindered, and if they're injured, it puts them into deep wounds. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna be totally honest, I hate this add-on. I don't like it
Oh
at all.
yeah.
And it's not because it's really powerful. I don't like what it encourages because if you think about it,
The
if you
deep wounds. The deep wounds.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
run if you're just assuming you're just playing normally, like you're just doing your little Larry business, like you're just slipstreaming people and you're doing your little overclock mind games, like whatever. This doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So even if they're healthy and you give them hindered, it's 3% for 3 seconds. It takes you zero point 0.5 seconds to come out of your camera and to wake up. And then you have to either teleport to them, in which you go through another wake up period, or you walk them down. It does nothing. It's kind of useless. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want this buffed either because then he just becomes like clown with a teleport.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really don't think like if you're just playing normally, I don't think it does anything. And the deep wounds is kind of like yeah, it's a little bit of extra slowdown, but it's kind of it's just Legion with extra steps.
Yeah.
the reason I don't like this add-on is not only is it completely useless, if you want value out of it, you have to play like a complete dickhead. Like hard.
Yeah, because like you could have like an injured survivor on a gen, you just ping them with the deep wounds, then fuck off. Like, okay, I just bought 30 seconds, or however long it takes to mend. It's like 10 seconds or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
This add-on enables tunneling. It
Yeah,
promotes
because
tunneling.
you can fucking because like you can M2 M1 people off hook basically if they're after the anti-camp is gone. You can just no.
You could just slipstream them, assuming you don't accidentally tag the person that's already unhooking them, or if that person is slipstream, then it spreads to them. Then yeah, it kind of negates that. But if they just get pulled and you slipstream them, and they get deep wounds, they no longer have dead hard. They don't have off the record. They're hindered. Depending on how close you are, because you only have a 1.5.
You can just slipstream them. They get their little speed boost, and then you just teleport directly to them if they're still in line of sight.
Yeah.
And then they fucking die instantly.
The only thing they can do is they better hope that they have DS. And if they don't, then they just... So I don't like how this is designed. I think it promotes a really unhealthy playstyle. And and even if you're not playing like that, it's kind of borderline useless. So
I didn't consider the fact that you could use it for tunneling. That's rough.
Pinhead has an add-on like this as well. It's called Original Pain, and I think it does the same thing. Like if you hit somebody with a chain, they go into deep wounds. They fixed that problem because people were using it for the same thing. They were chaining somebody immediately after they got unhooked, and they were hard tunneling.
Yeah.
So I think what they did to that one was they made it so that if you are in endurance, so from like the base kit, like borrowed time, you don't go into deep wounds.
It just does nothing.
Unless you get hit, yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
I don't know if they're going to do that to Soma, because I tried to test this on the PTB and I physically could not bring myself to play like that.
Yeah, like it's funny. I didn't even consider that because I don't play like a dick. But like knowing that people can, like,
but you can because Larry is a strong killer, right? Like so, playing him that way, like that's going to be really unhealthy. Yeah. All right. So continuing on Soma, do you have any thoughts about what it is currently or what it is on PTB?
How do you feel about the 3% hindered? Like, does it really make a difference?
I mean,
have you noticed anything about it?
I haven't played against it, so I haven't played Survivor on the PTB. But I have talked to people who have, and they said they don't even know that they're hindered. Like they kind of forget. They see the deep wounds, but they forget that they're slowed for like 3 seconds because it's really not that bad. It still gives you. I mean, unless you're like in a very specific situation where you can't get enough distance to like get to a window or a pallet, like it kind of doesn't. Yeah. It just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, suppose it buys you like maybe an extra second to hit them with the like your teleport.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said,
3 seconds, it's 3%. It's not that crazy.
No, it's really not, and I really don't want it buffed because then it becomes bad. like it becomes really broken, like busted. People are saying that. Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say like the deep wound aspect of it. Like again, I didn't consider how abusable it is, and like if we're taking away something like the broken add-on because of its potential to be used as like a lame playstyle, the deep wounds is completely enabling a lame playstyle.
Yeah.
Where, like you said, you just play it like Legion, where you just slow down people's efficiency, and then, like, of course, it's like, okay, the solution is to just heal, but, like, Singularity is, like, a really capable killer. He's not just gonna, like, tag you with the deep wounds, leave you alone. He can do whatever he can run up on you, he can roll you. So it's that plus I can deep wound you and waste your time on top of that. Like, so it does enable like a lame sort of cowardly time waster playstyle.
I just all around, I just don't think this is a well-designed rework. I've seen people saying that this is still his best add-on, and I have to disagree for the reasons that I don't think it's that good practically, and if it is good, it's good for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it's good for being lame.
It's be very lame. Now, let me tell you what I want this add-on to do.
Yes, please.
I would like the variable overclock per Slipstream Survivor. I want that put on this add-on.
Yeah, that would be cool. No, that would be sick.
Because like the people that liked having that, like, because you still have that option, and now that's what add-ons are for. They're meant to change the killer. I think that would do that perfectly. Because now you can kind of opt in to have that by putting on Soma if it gave you the variable overclock. And I think that would be strong enough to like warrant a purple.
Yeah, or like, dude, what if okay, because like it's a purple, right? So like
Mm,
theoretically, it's a purple. What would it? Oh man, I'm just trying to think of how many buttons Larry uses. Would be
a
nice
lot.
to have like an ability to manually end your overclock. So like, okay, this makes your
Yeah.
overclock potentially longer, but maybe you can also press this button to end it at will.
Yeah, I mean that would be a little bit confusing for people. I think, like, especially survivors, but I like that idea. Like it gives you a little bit more control over like your gameplay.
I suppose when you're in overclock, you can't use your blaster anyway, so you could assign it to the power button, like
Mm.
the regular aiming button, and maybe you just hold it for like half a second and cancels. So that way, like you can have complete control, and that's again, that's if we're talking about skill expression, that's basically enabling people who want that that skill expression to be like, okay, I want variable timing, and I want to be able to control like when I can and can't teleport because my understanding is advanced enough to know when I need to be in an extended overclock or when I need to be in a shorter overclock.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean instead of keeping it base kit how it is now or getting rid of it altogether, like just put it on an add-on. That way people have options. Like I
Mm-hmm.
felt so smart when I thought about that. I'm like, that's so genius. Like, yes. Not to toot my own
Where is
horn,
my
but
money behavior? Where is the job?
like if I could ask for anything from the DVD devs, like scrap the Soma change, put the variable overclock on it, I am a happy camper.
Yeah, I
But
don't think anybody would miss this current PTB effect. I don't think I would miss it.
I don't agree that it's currently his strongest add-on on PTB. I think that honor is reserved for the Nanomachine Gel now. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I really I hate Soma. I hate it so much now. I hate it so
Yeah,
much.
that's wild, man. You took this thing that I used to love, and now it's something I'll never use.
God.
That's
Um,
wild.
but while we're still on the topic of add-ons, you said that you had some ideas for things that you want. Care to share?
Like, yeah, I mean, we can just get really silly with it. Like,
Yeah.
you look at like Vecna or the Unknowns add-ons, and they have some insane add-ons. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the one that this one I don't think it's very fun, but the one that makes me really mad is the Unknowns one, where upon finishing a gen, you get infected with weakness.
Yeah.
So I was worried. I was like, oh, are they gonna give me one where Singularity gives you a free Slipstream when you finish a gen? I hate that one so much because it punishes people for doubling gens and it punishes people
Yeah.
for doing the objective. Like for doing the objective, you
Yeah.
get
And
blasted.
everybody runs it
Um,
too. Like every single unknown I've played against always
yeah,
has that.
I run it because I'm not there. I'm not very good. It's like a crutch. It's like, okay, it makes it easier. It makes my chases half as long because I can't. The difference with the Unknown is you need to be in chase to cleanse. You can't just cleanse somewhere else. So it's like, well, you don't have to be in chase, but you have to be near the Unknown, right? Um,
Yeah.
but like one idea I had for like I don't think they should make this an add-on, but Pinhead has I think Engineer's Fang. It
Mm-hmm.
like makes his power injure. And but then of course it nerfs the chains on his power. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, would it be like a training wheels add-on for Larry to have an injure add-on where maybe it nerfs some aspects of his biopods, but like his first one injures you? um Again, it would be busted, but so was
Yeah.
Engineer's Fang, and that's in the game. So
Oh
um
God. You know how Legion has the add-on where after you mend, it's Legion pins, so after they mend like they're broken. I guess that's kind of what Nanomachine Gel does.
oh yeah.
But or it
Yeah.
did. It doesn't do that anymore. It's not going to do that anymore. But
Mhm.
what if they did something else to his add-ons where he something like that, like if they're injured and they cleanse themselves in EMP, they become broken instead of it's oh they're broken after you hit them.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like, there's a
Would
lot
that
of add-ons
fix
like that.
like
Like Trapper has stuff with his traps where if you disarm, you get certain effects, stuff
would
like
that
that.
fix like the 3 gen problem? Because then that would kind of encourage that less because it's more so like it's a risk reward for them getting EMP, not you hit them and now they're fucked.
Yeah, and the counterplay there is like, okay, I have to heal first, then I can cleanse.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's you can play around it. It's not so you're not condemned to complete fuckery.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could be fun. Man, dude, Behavior's gotta hire us for add-on design.
Right.
For real.
Let us
I
be
don't
character
know.
consultants.
Yeah, come on, man. Um, what else is there? There was a crazy add-on idea I had where this was like a really silly idea, but like it would be like for a pink maybe, or Man, I don't even know what add-on I can compare this to. I guess the closest thing I could think of would be um Huntress. She has that thing where if she runs out of hatchets, she becomes like 115 or something, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be cool if there was a perk that or an add-on that reduced your base movement speed so you'd be slower. Maybe like nurse slow. Like I'm talking like really slow.
Oh, not like
But
110. You're talking like slow, slow.
like you are like nurse or something in between.
Oh
But
God.
then as a trade-off, your overclock is insane, or like there's a buff to your biopods. Like maybe they're disabled for a shorter amount of time when the EMP hits them. So like this is more of like a guy in the chair, Larry, where you're spending more time like setting up and then
Yeah.
spending more time like setting up your overclocks because you're in regular chase you're not as good. And then maybe he could have some insane add-on to either his overclock duration. I think overclock duration would be the right move because it's like he only moves fast in overclock.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't have to have any additional haste or anything, but now I can chew through pallets and I'm moving at like 118 or whatever. But then when I'm not on overclock, I'm like an old man and I can barely move.
Oh my God. That's the slow move. Oh my God. This is so broken and it would never happen, but like
Yeah.
that kind of add-on where like you're really slow like nurse walking speed, but you can teleport to survivors without slipstreaming them.
Oh, that would be insane if you didn't even have to slipstream them first.
Yeah,
That
you
would
just
be
walk up on
insane
them. Like
style.
maybe it reduces the range, so like you have to get closer to them to teleport, but you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to slipstream them to teleport. You just click on them and they die.
It just changes out his power. He doesn't even get biopods anymore. He just has a
Yeah.
gun. Like he just it's like if you ever played Bloodborne, there's the old guy in
Yeah.
the wheelchair with the Gatling gun. That's just what we are. We're just a guy in the chair.
Buff, we gave
I love
Larry a
that.
gun.
I love that. I love that so much.
That-
But yeah, like I would love. I'm glad they didn't overhaul all of his add-ons, but I would have loved some real variable add-ons like that that really changed how he feels. Like Plague has her add-on where she can't directly puke on you anymore, but her object puking is way better.
I love that
Um,
add-on. The
yeah,
plague,
because
the
it just
plague
changes it
add-on.
up, right?
Yeah, because it makes her more into more of like a setup killer.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah, I
I'm trying to
really.
think of anything else for Larry that could be cool like
He
that.
doesn't have any exposed add-ons, which is kind of surprising.
That is a surprise. That should be like a pink. That's usually a pink, right? So
Yeah, pink
don't
or
even
I think
know.
sometimes it's. I mean, yeah, no, it's pink because like Twins
Okay,
has their.
here's an idea. Here's a cool idea for an add-on. All right. Okay, behavior. I hope you're listening. Okay. How about when you go into overclock, it cleanses the survivor. So you have to reinfect them to do it
Mhm.
again. But during overclock, they're exposed.
That would be
So it's
so
like
good.
I need to get this hit now, or else I have to reinfect the survivor before I can try again.
See, that's
So
that's
it's like you have to pick your timing, you have to pick your positioning really carefully.
yeah, I like that because it punishes you. Because if you miss, then you have to slipstream them all over again. But you still have to like play the M1 game with overclock to hit them at all. So it's very like risk reward. I actually really like that. That's really cool.
Come on, behavior, fly me over. I spent a week in Montreal like 6 years ago, and I've wanted to come back ever since. Like,
God, I've
fly
never
me
been.
over. We'll
I've never
redo all
been
the
to Canada.
killers. Well, it's okay here. We're chill. It's expensive to fly around in Canada though. I think if I were to fly to Montreal, it would be like $1,000 round trip. I think that's a lot.
Oh, that is a lot.
And
Yeah,
that's Canadian dollars. So if you're in the States, it's like 700 or 800. But
that's still pretty
like,
expensive.
yeah, to stay within the same country,
Yeah.
man. Like, goddamn, it's insane.
Like
But yeah,
it would cost me like $400 to fly from like California to Texas. So
that's like halfway across the state.
yeah,
I mean, it's across the country. Sorry. Oh my gosh, you can tell I'm Canadian because I don't know what anything is called.
it's fine. But like, oh my God, you know how Spirit has some of like those really like when they changed her,
Oh,
they gave her some really
yeah.
funky add-ons. Like she has the one where like, oh God, how does it work exactly? It's something like you can teleport like you leave the husk and then you could teleport back to it, or
Back. Yeah.
there's one where when you end your phase, the husk explodes. Like
And it like hinders them or something.
yeah, something
I
like
can't
that.
remember what I
I
don't. The only one I don't like. I hate her stupid Killer Instinct add-on. That's
yeah,
the one
yeah, that
that I
one
think
sucks.
is dumb.
It takes
But her other
the
ones are really cool.
that one is putting Spirit on training wheels. I'm sorry, I don't like
Yeah,
Spirit,
training wheels. Let me see here.
those add-ons are really fun. Like the exploding husk one, like give that one to Larry. Like make it so that if he teleports out of a cam, like he leaves a husk behind, then it just blows up. Like
Oh my god. Okay, it blocks vaults.
oh,
That's what
okay.
it does. Dude, could you imagine if there was cuz we have like the Eerie shard where you use the pods for wall hacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine some bullshit like, "Oh, if you blow up a pod, it like anybody around it gets hindered or the fucking vaults around it get blocked."
What
Like
if
some crazy thing.
that but if they EMP a pod, it explodes.
Yeah, there's like a trade-off, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
you're fully killing my pods, but also like they fuck with you.
Yeah, like it explodes and then it does something like it makes them scream or something like. Well, no,
I think
that's just
the
live
Larry
wires.
design space is way more interesting than the devs are letting on. Like,
It's how he works because he's got a lot of moving parts, right? So if you make changes to those moving parts, it becomes very like dynamic.
mm-hmm. Man, all right, behavior, come on, check it out.
Yeah, but were there any other add-ons that you wanted to talk about, or any other ideas that you had for his
Hmm.
add-ons? Anything that you would change? Anything that you don't like about the PTB, or that you would do differently?
Let's see. I think we discussed the things that I did and didn't like. Like, of course, we had an issue with EMP range, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Anything that increases survivor counterplay is always good. Oh, there's also a small change. I guess we didn't talk about it. It's really small. Survivors can see when you're targeting them with your M2 now. Like, not when you're in a biopod, but when you are about to slipstream or
Oh,
when you're
can
about to
they?
teleport
I
to them,
actually didn't
they
catch
can
that.
see that.
Really?
It's like the same indicator as if you're aiming at them as a biopod,
Oh, it's like the
but
pink
now they
reticle, right?
see
Like the
yes. But now they see that when you're aiming at them in chase, which is kind of
okay.
nice because they can anticipate the action faster more than like before they just kind of have to guess.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
didn't
nice.
actually know that they added that. That's actually really crazy because they don't get any sort of like feedback about that on live right now. You just kind of appear behind them and then they die.
Yeah, and like that's funny, but it's kind of a dick move for the survivors. So
Yeah.
this is better, I think. To quote Larry,
No,
this is better.
that's fine. I'm like I said, like we were saying, he needs counterplay. Like he does because he's so powerful. Um there's okay, so I guess I mean we talked about heavy water a little bit. I really don't want to talk about heavy water because fuck
Heavy
that add-on.
water.
But there's one add-on that went unchanged, and I'm kind of surprised and I'm kind of sad that they didn't do anything to it. It's his green, it's the hologram generator. I
Oh
call
yeah,
it the
yeah. This
coffee
is
filter because it looks like a coffee
goofy as
filter.
hell. Yeah, this
it's
one's a suit. That's weird.
it's kind of not good.
Doesn't like I don't understand the purpose of it. Is the idea that I'm supposed to teleport to you and then go for somebody? No, it's you're oblivious. I'm not undetectable. You're
Yeah, so you
oblivious.
can't even rotate off of them to go
It's
chase somebody else. But if
like
you're
what's the point?
but if you're chasing but you're chasing them, so the oblivious doesn't really do anything.
I love oblivious in chase. That's like my favorite thing.
It's just
It's so silly.
it's weird, and I kind of wish that they did something to this add-on. Like I would like it so that if you teleport to a survivor, like okay, keep the stipulation of okay, you have to teleport to them from a biopod. Like sure, fine.
Yeah,
But make
yeah,
it so that he's undetectable and not they're oblivious. Because then you can
yeah,
teleport to somebody and rotate off of them and go yoink somebody off a gen or something. Like
yeah. That could be cool. Or even just like oblivious on infect instead of on teleport.
mm-hmm.
Like maybe not 60 seconds. Like 6 seconds is a long time, so maybe
Yeah.
they would reduce that. But that will at least open up some plays, right? But in the way it's currently designed, it doesn't really open up any potential
Yeah, no.
anything. It
It
doesn't let you
just
do anything.
no, it's kind of just a dead add-on. I think I heard a really good idea. That keep this the same, but if you teleport to somebody through a biopod, everybody that's slipstreamed becomes oblivious.
That's cool. See, that would be nice. And again, it's one of those things that rewards you for
Yeah.
spreading your slipstreams. That
It
would
would
be
be
neat. And then
niche,
like
but
the
it would be
person in
fun.
chase can, they can function normally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
understand why they didn't change that. That sucks. I'm pretty sure nobody uses it.
No, I don't think anybody does, and if they do, they're probably like a newer player. But
Yeah, you probably have like 1,000 of these in your on your character.
yeah, I do. I have like 2,000 of them. I don't know, I have to check.
God.
But gosh, I mean, he got quite a few add-on changes. Some of them are really good, some of them are really bad, and some of them didn't get changed that probably should have. Um
Mm-hmm.
Slurry didn't get touched, that's fine. I like the add-on. Uh Cremated
Yeah.
remains, my beloved. It did not get changed. Thank God.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone. It's perfect.
Leave it alone. I love that add-on to death, and it doesn't need to be tweaked. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for add-ons. Unless you have
Hmm.
anything else you'd like to add.
No, that was all the crazy ideas I had.
Cool. Well, yeah, a lot of good ideas. Please change the hologram generator behavior,
Please, behavior.
please.
We're praying. Otherwise, I'm gonna come knocking.
Oh God. Okay. So we did kind of talk about the base kit haste a little bit, but and we kind of went into like old Soma. I mean, did you have anything else to add about the base kit, like the 3% haste? Are you happy with it? Do you think it's a good compromise for adding Soma to base kit?
Yeah, I think it's good. I'm glad that you can't hit 5% without perks.
Yeah.
Because that makes it a little too easy. So I think they found a good spot. It does make him feel better because I think that often it feels terrible to have like regular speed in overclock. It's like
It feels clunky.
you have this, yeah, you have like this enhanced mode that doesn't always feel enhanced.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, I'm just if they hold W, they just get away, and
Yeah.
like, okay, like okay, if they drop a pallet, then I get an advantage. If they do a vault, I can vault whatever. But like it should feel good to just you should feel better in that mode, and like the 3% does that without making it overpowered.
Yeah, and I think that was the big appeal of like old Soma was it took away that feeling of, well, they can just W key me and now my power doesn't do anything. And now they can't do that because I have haste. So I
Yeah,
think
like
I was in the camp of wanting it. I did not want Soma to be made into base kit, at least not in its current form.
yeah.
I was like, he doesn't really need it. But I think giving him the 3%, I think that's a happy compromise. I'm happy with it because it does feel really good. It does make him feel a little bit better to play. Um, I think they could have
Hmm.
achieved the same thing by just reducing his wake up time after he teleports, and it would have been just as fine.
Oh yeah, yeah, because that's where you lose all the distance. Is like where you have to give them like that extra whatever 1 second or half a second to like get distance.
Yeah.
That's like yeah, they could have done that, and then you wouldn't need to have haste at all, and then your movement would feel more consistent, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, in the haste, it still does help you. Like, there's sometimes, like, there's hits that you get that you wouldn't have gotten if you didn't have haste. But I feel like the big thing is people just don't like being W keyed because it's boring. But,
Yep.
reducing the wake up time would fix that. Adding 3% base kit to reduce that feeling of, like, stiffness and slowness after you teleport. They achieve, like, more or less the same thing. So I'm fine with it. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I was also the mentality like where if I ran Soma and then I took it off, I felt like everybody was hacking, like everyone was speed hacking.
Yeah.
Because I was like, dude, I should win this. I should get this. What the fuck? Like, what is this? Like, I get this hit. Why don't I
Yeah.
get this hit? And like I wasn't getting those hits, and like so now the fact that it's 3%, that's all it's ever going to be unless you use perks. Like that's nice. It'll make it feel consistent, and I think consistency was the goal with this patch, as you
Mhm.
can see with the consistent like the overclock duration, all that stuff, and I feel like that they've succeeded in that case.
Definitely. And I mean, also, like, what this does is, like, the whole joke was all Singularity players, they run Soma. Because the whole joke was when the patch notes came out was, oh my god, they gave Singularity a second add-on slot.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
Yeah, for real.
I've talked about this before with some other people, but the only reason I would want to implement it in a base kit is because it reduces the need for people to feel like they need to run it. Because
Yes.
comparing it to like Ghostface, right? Like Ghostface had his power recharge, his power cooldown add-ons like Chew Pen. People were running
Yeah, and
those
they would auto
constantly.
include.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they gave that to him base kit, but they reworked or they nerfed the add-ons down, and it's because they wanted people to feel like they could use other add-ons. Like you don't feel like you need to run this. Now you have it a little bit base kit. So I think that's kind of what they did with
Mm-hmm.
Soma. I'm happy with that.
Hell yeah.
Alrighty. The big topic. The big boy topic.
Mm-hmm.
Um Starting with the smaller of the changes, the auto aim on the gun arm. So when you're aiming to teleport with the gun arm. How do we feel
Oh,
about
you
that?
know what? I honestly didn't even really notice it.
Really?
Like, again, I only played a few games, so maybe I need to play more. But I
Mm.
don't know. I didn't really feel it.
Yeah, and
Like,
I mean,
I just didn't notice it.
and this is where we're going to kind of get into like the comparison because you play on PC, I play with a controller. So this is where we're really going
Mm-hmm.
to have like those differing like viewpoints because
Yeah.
I plugged my controller in when I played on the PTB. Every single Singularity game I played with a controller. I felt it. I felt it big
Oh yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I'm using the same controller, same sensitivity that I would achieve with console. The only thing that would be a little bit different to make it, not as like a good replication is probably the frame rate. But even then,
Yes.
that's kind of like I don't know how much that actually impacts it in a game.
Mm-hmm.
But I could tell the difference big time because I have a lot of like I do miss a lot of my teleports because I just even though my reaction time is there, like I know what I'm supposed to be doing, it's like I physically can't do that because I have to micro adjust with my joysticks and then I lose time for that. Um
Yes.
so it feels like what it feels like now is that like my actions in game actually match my reaction time. And I like that because it's like
Mm-hmm.
PC players like, it's easy with a mouse because you just, flick your wrist and you can make those micro adjustments really easily.
Yes.
So I think this auto aim is good. I don't know why people are so like upset about this one because this one doesn't change anything. I mean, if you're saying you don't feel
Yeah.
a difference, I believe you.
Exactly. The fact that I was like, I don't even notice, man. I don't know what you're talking about. And and again, we wanna close the gap between like the like people who are playing on Switch and people who are playing on like 120 FPS with a
I didn't
freaking
even think
like the
about the
best mouse.
Switch players. Oh my God.
Dude,
Wait.
Switch players literally, dude, they literally exist.
I
Like,
always forget about the Switch players.
I thought it would be funny to make a video of playing Singularity on Switch, but that means I have to
Oh my
buy DBD
God.
and Singularity and Switch like Nintendo Online just to make one video.
Oh my
Like,
God.
no.
And like the really like abysmal frame rate on Switch, like oh my God,
Yeah, it'll
Singularity
be like
must is
15
like
FPS.
unplayable, I bet. Poor Switch players. I
But
totally
yeah, like
forgot
I
they
think
exist.
yeah, and then like I can think of scenarios where the aim assist might have helped me. Like on that last video I uploaded, there's that part where I missed the Sable because I shot like the
Yeah.
side of her leg or something, and I was really annoyed about that. And I'm sure that with the new system, maybe that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Um, and again, it's the idea of you are making the right decisions. It's just the game is just accounting for its own flaws with the micro aspects of those decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like your brain knows what it's supposed to be doing, but the limitations of the game, like the technical limitations, is sometimes it makes that mistake for you, so to speak.
Yeah,
I think this really just reduces that. I don't think I mean it definitely makes him easier, but it doesn't make him easier because it makes him stronger. It makes him easier because it fixes the problems that are already in the game.
absolutely. It's like the idea of fixing like collision on like Blight or Billy or whoever or like Oni, where it's just kind of like okay, the game is accounting for these things that are not 100% consistent all the time, and they create feels bad moments. We're trying to reduce the feels bad moments.
Yeah. And I mean also like bridging the gap between like you said between like console players, Switch players and then PC players who already kind of have that level of precision where they're not really missing that many teleports unless it's the game being jank. Um
Man,
uh,
like I don't even know how people can play this character on like PS4 or something. Because like the last time I played on PS4, I was trying to show my girlfriend Myers, and then the game froze when I hit T3, like tier
God.
three. The game froze for like a half a second, and I lost my chase
Oh
because I
God.
didn't know where the guy fucking went. He went around a corner during. He knew my game was freezing for 0.5 seconds, so he must
Oh
have gone around a
no.
corner. And I was like,
Oh
this is
jeez.
usually easier.
Yeah. No, like the last gen players, they definitely have I mean that thing is it's capped at like I think it's 30 FPS, I'm not sure. But I don't feel that playing on PlayStation 5 it actually feels quite nice. It's definitely a bump between like PS4 and PS5.
Mm-hmm.
The frame rate it doesn't feel like it feels like basic like PC gameplay, like without you
It's got to
going
be
and
like
uncapping
60,
your
right?
frame.
It's
Yeah,
got to
it's
be like
60.
60.
It's 60.
Okay.
So it feels like playing on a PC where you don't have like the frame rate uncapped in the config settings. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very like comparable. So frame rate's not that big of a problem, but the joysticks aiming with the joysticks is fine. Keeping the aim assist and how it feels with the controller is if you move your joystick, it just feels like the reticle kind of sticks on them for like a microsecond. Like you can tell the
Yeah.
difference, but if you accidentally, if you're overcompensating because you moved your camera, it adjusts for that, so you still hit the teleport.
That's good. That's good. That's how it should feel, I think. That's like just judging from my I used to play a lot of FPSs on console, and that's kind of how aim assist should feel. Is like, okay,
Yeah.
I can still like aim in a fine way, but it's just accounting for the micro adjustments that are really hard to do because of like joystick sensitivity and behave. Like DBD has the joystick settings on DBD are not very good.
No.
Like you don't have the advanced things that like Call of Duty has, like curves and all that stuff.
Like dead zone adjustments, yeah.
Yeah, you can't do any of that stuff on DBD. So like this is a good compromise for the fact that it doesn't have the most insane like joystick support.
Yeah, no, and it definitely like I said, just in my experience, like for a PC player, it's like, oh, these changes they don't really feel any different. But for a console player, it's night and day. Like 100% night and day. And it feels so good. Like it would be very, very difficult for me to play Singularity on live right now. I actually haven't since I started playing the PTB.
To go back, yeah.
Yeah, so you know, the people who are being really negative about that change and saying that it makes him like kind of brain dead and waters him down, I really feel like they're taking issue with the fact that console players can play at their level now.
Yeah, which is so silly because it's not like we're going against each other.
No.
Like, and even if we were, who gives a crap? Like, oh, we're on an even playing field now. Oh, how dare we? Like, how dare you?
It's like it bruises their ego a little bit. So
Which
that
is strange
one,
because it's like I'm incredibly privileged to have like a really good PC. Because for a while I didn't have a PS5 until like a year or two after it launched. My PC was a piece of garbage. I just upgraded a few months ago because I found a really good secondhand one that just happened to be really good, and the guy had it for a good price. Like this is a privilege thing. It really is. And I only bought that because I got a new job that pays really well. Like, not every person who plays the game can afford this type of stuff or has the same opportunities as I do. So it's stupid as fuck to be like, oh, you should just have a fucking 4090 or whatever the hell, and you should have all the same equipment that I do. I'm like, no.
yeah, no. Bridging the gap, especially because now we have crossplay, so we're all playing with each other. So, and I know that like I don't want to like get too like into like the controversy, but there's a lot of people who just they hate console players just because they're console. And like
just super silly.
They make their names on Steam like console players are trash and stuff like that. Like their whole personality is they hate console players. It's like why? Why? What did we do to you? We're here existing. Like
yeah, like I understand like PC elitism has always been around, but like
I didn't
know that it was like specifically in DBD. I didn't know it was specifically that bad.
It's so
That's
like
insane.
it doesn't make sense to me because like let's be like totally like real. DBD is not a very like mechanically demanding game. Like
no, not really.
It's not like a shooter or even like a fighting game. Like it's not on the same level of like competitiveness where you need that pinpoint like precision. Like DBD's you know, we can kind of get into like the skill expression of Singularity and Dead by Daylight, but like Dead by Daylight's skill expression shows itself as like macro gameplay. Like being able to make good decisions and knowing when to make a specific play at a specific time. And also like knowledge. Knowledge is a huge part of Dead by Daylight's skill expression because knowing what everything does when you're playing against it, like and knowing how to counterplay it.
Yeah. Like even with all of the content that I think I've argued that DBD is really bloated with content at this point. Even with all the content that DBD has, learning DBD is still like maybe 25% of learning like League of Legends.
Yeah.
Or like
oh my god.
Dota or something like that. Because of the amount of moving parts, there's just less. And yeah, like people are saying like, oh, skill expression this, skill expression that. But again, like they don't understand that the hours they have are what gives them the ability to place the right pods. They know when to check these things. They know when to reset. They know when to do this. They know to do that. It's all macro decisions. I don't think it's that hard to get good in Chase. As a killer anyway. As a survivor, there is some crazy shit people doing in chases at like 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
But like the difference is so marginal. Like the difference is such a small difference between like a 1,000 hour survivor and like a 5,000 hour survivor that like it's not really worth that at that point. It's not really worth the investment at that point if you're just trying to get better. It's not making that huge of a difference. Whereas as a killer, like like I have like 1,500 hours. It's not actually that much, but I can make good decisions. I can make good plays. They usually work out in my favor. And yeah, I'm not fighting against comp teams, but I would like to one day for fun to see how badly they kick my ass.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten matched with like
yeah.
DBD League players in like public games, and
Holy.
I mean, it's scary because I think a part of it is like if you recognize the names, it creates that like level of like anxiety, like performance anxiety, because it's like, oh god, are they streaming? Do they have an audience? And then I don't play that well because now I'm nervous because I know who I'm up against. So I would rather just not like that's too much stress for my little like baby brain to take.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like Singularity skill expression really comes from making good decisions, knowing when to teleport, knowing when to break chase, knowing which pods to check, knowing where EMP crates spawn and being able to pressure them, knowing which ones the survivors are going to. Like it's all these little things that add up to like a bigger picture. Being able to aim and teleport is like it's like a bare minimum requirement of the killer.
Like it's not that crazy. It's not that impressive, despite what people say. Like, oh, Biopods auto aim now, so this killer's like way too easy. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. No. Speaking of the Biopods,
it's not that crazy.
Yeah, like, because what it does is it doesn't like swing your camera to the survivor. It makes it so that when you enter the biopod, you're looking at the survivor that's closest to you already. So
yeah,
I don't think this is a problem. I really don't, because when people hear auto aim, they think of like auto tracking, like how it works with aim assist on like FPS games.
Oh, like they might think that it's just automatically doing it while you're in the pod.
So people don't, I think that they hear auto aim and they get scared because they think that's what it's like. I don't know if they're differentiating, because auto aim on like an FPS game, it is like that. Like it's a little bit of auto tracking. But Singularity, it's not like that. It just it literally like it points you in the right direction. That's all it does.
Yeah. It's funny because if you think about it, like, so the way I thought about it was, okay, if the biopod starts off aiming at the survivor, it might make me like a little bit faster, like a tiny bit faster at target acquisition. But also my scan is now 0.2 seconds slower.
Yeah.
Like I need to take, it's 0.8 instead of 0.6. So that kind of makes up the difference. If you
That's
think about
probably why they did that change, because now, like, if you're immediately looking at a survivor, the survivors need reaction time too. So, yeah, I don't think the only time that I will say that it does feel a little bit bogus is if I have a camera facing like an EMP crate, like I'm watching that crate for a very specific reason, and there's a survivor sitting like behind the pod that I did not know was there, and it snaps to them, and I wouldn't have seen them like unless I like actively looked around in the pod. That can feel a little bit cheap. But I feel like it's so situational because that's very specific.
Yeah, like in a perfect world, we would have like an accessibility or options menu where we could toggle that setting to be like whether or not it auto aims. DBD just has so many different killers and survivors that screen would be extremely cluttered, and I'd be into it. I would love if they made something like that, and maybe in the future they will. It would be nice, but in its current iteration, the way the game is, that's just simply not how the game works. It doesn't have specific options for specific killers and specific mechanics. It just doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And we can dream about a world where that's a thing, but that's just not how it is right now.
And that is something that I'm seeing like a lot of the more like gatekeeping people like suggesting is like, oh, we'll just make it toggleable so that console players can have it on. You don't think that's going to cause more of a rift within players, because they're going to see you playing Singularity and they're like, oh, you're
playing
auto,
with auto aim, you
like,
little bitch.
You're bad. Like you're trash. Like you have to use auto aim. Like it's gonna cause more problems than it's worth. Also, I don't think Behavior can code like a brand new feature for a specific killer in like 3 weeks. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Terrible. They can't do that.
I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, just playing devil's advocate a little bit, it's a lot of work to program like a brand new feature from like the ground up and then implement it into the game where it doesn't break everything or it functions properly. Like it's a lot of work. So I just don't think that's realistic.
It would be really funny to have, because I can't think of other killers that would need like toggleable options like that. So it'd be really funny if there was a tab in the settings that just said Singularity stuff, and it's like if you've ever played Dishonored, there's an option in Dishonored that opens up a submenu, and the submenu only has one option, and it says Rat Shadows.
so fucking weird. What?
Like, oh, dude, it's under the rat shadows submenu, you silly boy. That's why you're losing so many frames. Your rat
Oh
shadows are on
my
high quality.
god, that's so
You silly
silly.
man. So, like, I would love the Singularity stuff tab where it just says, do you want auto aim? Yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, it would be fun. Like, I get the sentiment, and that's an understandable like suggestion to make, but I do think it would just cause more like animosity between the community, and there's already a lot of that. We don't need more of it.
Oh yeah, I'm already because I would use it, and then I'd been called a little bitch on my like YouTube uploads and stuff. People would be like, "Oh, you're a little pussy you're using," so I don't care. Like,
I mean, yeah. It's just it's like a community thing. Like if somebody new is learning Singularity and they're using the auto aim because it makes them easier to pick up and play and learn, and then they get called like a fucking a bitch for it. Like they're not gonna want to play him.
yeah, I think that's more. It's more telling about how people, especially in this game, are weirdly concerned with how other people choose to play or how
Yeah.
other people like pick up the game or how they whatever they choose to use, what killers they pick, what perks they pick. And I understand where that comes from, but like, yeah, that's definitely a thing that would happen. It would be like, oh, you shouldn't be using this or that. It's a crutch. This is a crutch. Whatever.
Yeah, that's
Whatever.
exactly it. People would call it a crutch, and like if you were trying like, hey, look at this really cool clip that I got because I double vaulted shack window and overclock and I hit somebody, like, but you used auto aim, so your skills are
Yeah.
relevant.
So it just
Like,
discounts everything you've ever done.
it's like, and that's the thing, like because doing stuff like that, like doing like funny like vault mind games with overclock is super fun, and I love doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But God forbid I can look at people better. Like that's all. That's at the end of the day. That's all this changes is I can look at people slightly better. I didn't know
Slightly
that was.
faster.
I did not know that looking at people better was the reason that people were winning like 98% of their Singularity games. I'm so sorry.
It's a hot take.
Oh god, I could definitely rant about the people that are overreacting. Like the patch isn't perfect. Like it has things that could be done better. I'm not gonna sit here and say
Mm-hmm.
it's a glorious, like beautiful, perfect change. But
Yes.
I think people are drastically overreacting to the auto aim. Um and it especially is frustrating as a console player because I'm so excited that I can finally like play how I want to play and not be like handicapped with a
Yes.
controller. And I can play it
Absolutely.
at the same level as like the big boys, your Coco Latte and Harry Potter
Mm-hmm.
and El Doinko.
Oh.
Like
No, that's literally how I felt. No, that's how I felt as I started upgrading my stuff. I got my new computer that runs the game at 60. I got a new monitor recently that I didn't realize that I was playing with a handicap because I didn't have a nice monitor.
mm,
Like, you don't understand. There was a 2-week span where I was missing skill checks because I was used to anticipating them instead of reacting to them. Like I was used to
mhm.
hitting skill checks right before they would hit the thing, and then I have a
Yeah,
new monitor with a better refresh rate, and I'm like, oh shit, I can just see it when it happens. I don't have to react early. So
yeah.
my entire game, like it took me 2 weeks to completely change the way I play the game. I'm like, we need to close the gap between that bottom end and that top end. It's really silly to gatekeep that based on like people's literal budgets and what they're working with.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, it's not like DBD is like a super like mechanically demanding game. So just by lowering the killer's skill floor a little bit and making the bare minimum a little bit easier for people that don't have a PC, like why is this a bad thing?
Exactly. Like I spent so much money, and I didn't even I was on a budget, but I think my upgrade was like eight, what, 2, 3. I spent like $1,400, which to me is a lot, and to some people that's an insane amount of money to spend on a hobby. To some people,
Yeah.
and so like yeah, if somebody buys a Switch for like $300 and they play the same game as me, I want them to have as close of an experience to me as possible.
Yeah, and it's like we're not playing like in the Overwatch league, like we're not playing like the big leagues like
For money,
esports.
yeah.
Like we're literally just chilling and playing the game. Now like the big argument is that making him easier is like inherently making him stronger. I do think it makes him stronger, but not for people that are already good at the killer. I
Yeah,
think that the people,
I didn't feel busted or anything when I played PTB. I didn't feel like I was like on fire or anything like that.
yeah. But I mean, the people that are already good at the killer are already like pub stomping. Like they're already doing it. So
Yeah,
this,
because he's a really good killer.
yeah, this doesn't change anything for those people except for making their experience a little bit like smoother, maybe a little bit easier. Um,
Mm-hmm.
But with the auto aim, I just had this thought today because I was gonna make like a solo video going over my thoughts, but I thought this would be more fun. So
Mm-hmm.
I had a thought with the
Yeah.
auto aim. I think that if you get really smart survivors, they're gonna be able to use it against you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
because think of it this way, if you're chasing somebody that's on death hook and they don't want you to take that person out, they could just stand next to a biopod deliberately to get your camera to snap onto them, and then you
Yeah,
get
I'm assuming
disoriented.
it would prioritize who's closer. I'm assuming that's
It
how
I
it
think it
works.
does, yeah. So they could
Mm-hmm.
literally just like stand directly in front of your biopod. If you try and scan them or teleport to them, like it's gonna snap to the survivor that wants to take the aggro off of them, and they can like.
Mm-hmm.
I see so many opportunities for really good players to like absolutely use it against you
Hell
or
yeah.
body block. If somebody is slipstream and you're trying to teleport, they jump in front of them. Get down, Mr. President style, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not slipstream. Now you have to go through the point eight. The point eight duration to slipstream them, and now your biopod's on cooldown, so you lost that
Yeah.
teleport. I don't know. I thought about it today, and I'm like, it's gonna take a lot from survivors to figure that out, but I do think that it's a possibility now.
Like the potential's there.
Yeah. Um. See, I see this as a good change overall. Just maybe I am biased because I do play with a controller, but um, again, I feel like the fundamentals are there. Like the foundation is there for me. Like playing on the PTB with a controller, I already know what I'm supposed to be doing with the killer. So yeah, I'm performing well because
Mm-hmm.
I already have the game sense for it.
Yeah, I have the
Um,
hours, I have the experience.
yeah, this just enables me to do it better and not be so like held back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but do you have any thoughts on the auto aim or the behavior that we're seeing like towards the changes, anything like that?
Oh man, fuck them. They're fake ass gamers. They're fake ass Larrys. I
Fake ass
don't
Larry.
enjoy the mentality that I don't enjoy the mentality that you're liking something because it's like, and maybe some people do or don't feel like this. I don't like the mentality that you should like something because it's unpopular or you should like
Mm-hmm.
something because it's difficult to get into. And you can have a little bit of pride in that, but I think that with most things in life, you want other people to enjoy the thing that you enjoy.
Agree.
Like I play the drums and I love running into people who play instruments. I love running into people who know more about music than I do because I can learn from them. I'm not upset because I'm like, oh, this motherfucker also plays the drums. Fuck you, bro. I'm the only person who plays the drums around here. Like, oh, you use that tool to learn that? That's
Oh my
insane.
god.
Like, I taught myself in a cave with a box of scraps. I don't know why. Like it's so silly to be like that because most people in life who are passionate about things, they don't do that or they shouldn't. So it's silly as fuck to see that in our own community with
I'm
people who are
gonna
like,
I'm gonna stop you
yeah,
right there because they do, and this is gonna be very
yeah,
American of me, but like
okay,
it's the same energy as like the boomers who are like, well, I paid off all my student loans, so why don't you
oh
guys
yeah,
have to
yeah.
pay off all your student loans?
You can't be happy about the things that I was happy about because you didn't struggle the way I struggled.
It's the same energy as like, well, why do you get to get off, why do you get, your debt forgiven because you're already struggling with
Yeah,
inflation
like
and shit. Like,
it's that what about me mentality, that bitter,
yeah.
like I've already. And for those people, because they do exist, it's like, bro, just play a single player game that doesn't change. Play a single player game that doesn't is not getting patches. And then you can brag all you want. Oh, I beat Dark Souls with a fucking Donkey Konga drum, whatever the fuck, on this patch. And like, whatever, fine, that's gonna stay the way it is. But these games, these live service games, that are always changing. That's gonna change more. The meta's gonna change. These
Hmm.
characters are gonna change. So like, you either like live with it or you play something else.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like a live service game, like you have to have that level of like adaptability, right? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like the characters that you play and that you're comfortable with, they could literally get changed in a moment's notice, and that's just the way things are. Like, um, got a good example. Like, how long have you been playing Dead by Daylight? Were you here around for the Were
I
you here for
think
like? Go on.
I started playing when Blight came out, so like 2019, I think,
Okay.
or 2020.
So, were you here for old skill check ruin?
Oh, and thank God, no. I got here right on time for Ruin Undying. I wasn't here
Oh,
for Old Ruin. Thank God.
I've been playing the game since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing right after Clown released. So I was here for
Okay.
Spirit's release. I
Oh my
experienced
God.
old skill check ruin, and but
Oh, with old Pop,
the
and you
thing
can use
is,
that
like,
together.
people
Okay.
never used pop though. That was the thing. Was the old meta, like way back in the day? It's like people literally they just ran ruin. Like that was the
Because it was
only
enough.
gen slowdown they needed because it was really the only one
Yeah.
we had in the game. Pop wasn't considered that good. People didn't start doing that until after Ruin got changed because it was literally
Yeah.
like you would see Ruin every single game, but it was the thing of like, oh well, it's a hex totem, so people could cleanse it like 30 seconds into the match starting, and then you have no perk.
Yeah.
But it's like it was old Ruin, it was old Barbecue, it was Enduring and Spirit Fury when that came out, it was Enduring and Brutal. Like people didn't run all this like stacked regression back in the day because they didn't need it.
Yeah.
And then only then when Ruin got reworked did people start stacking regression.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of going into that
Oh
like
my gosh.
like killer players, like that's probably one of the most controversial changes because when they announced that they were reworking Ruin, I've never seen anything like this happen again. Because what people were doing was they were protesting the Ruin change in game.
What?
So
That's
people would go
insane.
in with their they would go and they would stand and they would body block their totem and AFK. So and they would
Just
change.
because Ruin you it was always on even if you were doing the gen it would make your skill checks like regress if they were not great, right?
Yes, so if
So that
you
it's like more efficient to just sit there on your Ruin than to actually play the
well,
fucking game.
yeah, they weren't playing the game because it was just a protest. So like they expected to
Oh my
lose, but
God.
they were preventing their Ruin from getting broken. So they would just stand
That's
in front of the
so
totem,
funny.
and there was like a whole movement. They called it "Don't Ruin Ruin."
Oh my God, I've never heard of this before. That's so funny.
I have tons of Dead by Daylight stories like that, but that's probably the most like that's probably the craziest thing I've ever seen in game because collectively people were like, I get it, bro, I get it. Like the survivors, they were like, I get it, hashtag don't ruin ruin, like you go off king. Like it was unifying in a way, but it was also really like at the time like behavior was not very good about like transparency and taking like player feedback. So it didn't do anything because it got changed and here we are to this day.
That's wild. And yeah, like I've seen even like the 4-ish years I've been playing, I've seen a lot of different metas rotate.
Mhm.
And like they'll continue changing. Like the stuff that I like won't be the same in a few months or a few years, whatever, and that's fine. That's just how the game goes. Um, and it would be nice to. I know there are people who've figured out ways to play specific snapshots of the game with mods and stuff like that, and that's cool that you can do that and have like a little
Mhm.
walk through memory lane. But I like the game where it is now. There is pretty much nothing about the game that I would change back to a previous patch.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single thing that I would change back to a previous patch. Like not at all.
No, I think the game
Um
is in a really good state right now. I mean, I've played it when it was in a not very good state, and it was terrible, but we still played it. And me and my boyfriend, my partner, we joke all the time. We're like, man, this game should have died in like 2016 because it was so busted, but it didn't.
yeah.
And it's developed into something really interesting, and I think it's in a very healthy spot right now. Like the people that are complaining that they hate Dead by Daylight, Dead by Daylight sucks, it's such a bad game. Like they're really burned out and they need to just take a break.
Yeah, taking a break was amazing. I took a break in 2022 for about 6 months. It was like the best
Mhm.
decision I ever made. The only bad thing that came out of it is that I missed Singularity's Rift skin, and
Mhm.
I missed Fang's Rift skin where she has the fantasy outfit. I missed those two things, and I regret that. But other than that, that was the best break I ever took.
Yeah, I also took a really long break. I stopped playing right around when Skull Merchant was announced.
Mm-hmm.
I kept up with like the announcements and stuff, and I watched like the anniversary live stream where Singularity was announced, but I wasn't like actively playing the game. I was really into Hunt Showdown at the time. Um, so I took a long break. I only just recently like came back from that break, like right around when Xenomorph got added into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's when I picked up Singularity because it was kind of like a way to get me back into the game. Like I'm just gonna pick up a new killer, and so I started playing him. and it kind of just stuck. Like, wow, he's really fun. I really like this killer, and so I just haven't stopped.
Yeah, I don't even know when I started playing him. It must have been just when he came out, I guess. I don't even know. I don't even know when I started like maining him. It just kind of happened. Like
Yeah,
I float between characters a lot. I play a lot of different killers, so and I still do. But I don't know. It just kind of happened, and I was like, this character's fun, and nobody plays him.
yeah,
And like, why the fuck doesn't anybody play him? Like, and I think that this mentality that we have a lot of hours, we have a lot of wins, we know how to win the game. Like you and I, we can end games at five gens if we wanted to.
but it's
But
not
that's
fun.
not the point. That's not the point exactly. There's a book called is by the author Patrick Rothfuss. There's a book called The King Killer Chronicles in the Name of the Wind. I think it's the first book. It might be the second one. There's a part where this guy he's learning like chess ish. It's like a chess variant for this guy, this old man who's like teaching him chess or whatever, and he's just getting like he's like getting cocky because he's like a young man and he's like learning from his mentor and he's like, oh, like you like fucking old man, like I can take you on like anytime, like I've played this game for like a week and I can destroy you at it. And then the old man turns around and he just destroys him like multiple games in a row, just destroys him. And he goes the point isn't to win, it's to play a beautiful game. And he gestures at the board and he said and I had this demolished board and he's like, who would want to play a game like this?
Yeah.
And that's basically my mentality with Singularity is I can win, I can stomp, but I want to do cool shit while I do it. I want to do crazy plays. I want to do things that are unexpected. I want to make it difficult because I don't want to just play nurse and then slug you all at 5 gens.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I share that same mentality. It's like I was saying, like I can go in and I can get, one hook for 5 gens. Like I really don't care as long as I got like a fun like overclock mind game or a funny like double back teleport on somebody. Like, because it's winning in Dead by Daylight. It doesn't get you anything. You're not
Yeah,
rewarded for it.
there's nothing, there's no ranking, there's nothing.
There's MMR, but what is it? What does high MMR get you? It gets you harder, more stressful
Nothing.
games. Like
Doesn't give you anything.
It gets you more pain. Like, but you don't like. There's no leaderboard. There's no rankings. Like ranks don't mean anything except for blood points. Like it. There's no reward. Like we're not playing in a league. There's no incentive to win. So why do you think everybody tries so hard to win? Why is winning like their whole personality? Like they're stacking 4-gen regression. They're bringing the strongest add-ons every game. They're playing like, tunneling somebody out of 5 gens because it's quote unquote optimal. Like I see people playing like that, and it's like if your version of fun is winning, like I guess more power to you, but
Yes.
that's how you get burned out.
Yeah, like yeah. Again, it's tough because like I will preach about playing this way, playing that way, but also I understand like it's not really my place to tell people how to play or how to enjoy their game. But also like if someone's like gatekeeping a killer or playing like an asshole, I'll talk shit.
Yeah, like it's like the same people like saying like, oh well, I learned how to play Singularity when he was hard, and now they're dumbing him down and making him easier, but they're really just making him more accessible for a wider like audience of people, rather than just having the same like the 1% of the player base that actually plays him. So like,
we're hitting that 2% next time they report. I swear to God, we are. Next time they report usage rates, we're hitting that 2%. My mission will be accomplished.
That's the whole goal. But like, I don't understand. Like, cause even if okay, so he's very difficult to master. Like that's still the same. Like he's very hard to like get a handle on and play like 100% perfectly if you can, because we're not robots. Like we're people. We make mistakes. So like I just don't understand where the sentiment of is coming from. Like, oh well, he should stay hard to play. Like I don't know why they're making him easier. Tell me, how often do you actually run into Singularity when you play Survivor? How often do you see him?
Oh, dude, actually, surprisingly often.
Really? I don't
I've been
see
seeing
him
a couple
ever.
of them. I've seen it. I don't play a ton of games. Like I've probably like whatever, but there were some nights where me and my friends would run into like 2 or 3 Singularities in the same night across like maybe 20 matches. And I don't know if maybe it's like certain regions or maybe certain MMRs, like maybe more Singularities are in the higher brackets. Who knows? Because I would imagine that my stats should reflect the usage rates that they report, which they don't. Because I have been tracking killers that we run into and the statistics. Let me see if I still have that. I haven't been tracking because I don't count events because it's different on events.
Yeah.
But I've reported. Oh, just kidding. Since I started tracking, I've had 0 singularities.
Oh, this is
but
so. But
out of what? How many games? Out of 102 games that I've written down, 11 xenomorphs.
wow. I
Like,
mean,
weird, right? Like, he's not that popular. I don't understand why we faced
no.
11 xenomorphs out of 102 games.
Like Xena was still like a fairly newer killer too, so you would think that their pick rate would still be kind of up there.
Yeah, like I've seen some really weird stuff. And again, the sample size is small. I'm sure if I kept tracking, I would see the numbers change.
Mm.
And there's various aspects. Like at the time, I think the artist had tomes, so there was more artist players than usual. Like weird stuff like that. But still a lot of blights and a lot of Weskers, a lot of blights, a lot of Weskers.
Yeah. But I really don't understand why people like it's like you don't want people to you don't want more people to play him. Like you're content with like this small little percentage of people. But even if the killer is well designed and even if the killer is difficult to master, like the fact that he has such a low pick rate, it still says something. It still means something. Also, like most of the player base is super casual. Like we're not all out here playing competitive scrims against comp teams. Most of us are booting up the game after work, after school, and we just want to sit down and play a video game. And I think it just makes more sense to cater to that group of people because they're the majority. Like the actually like competitive people, like the high level like competitive like scrim teams, like they're such a small percentage of the player base. So I think balancing around that is not good. It's not good for the game. It's not healthy.
Yeah, and it's we get like with Singularity, for example, like there's so much knowledge that goes into the game already that's he'll probably still be a low pick rate. He's not actually that accessible still. He's a little bit more, which is nice, but again, like you said, there's so much going into DBD that unless you have a ton of hours or a lot of research or experience, it's already kind of overwhelming. Like the game is so RNG. There's a million maps. There's a million perks. You have to learn like 30 matchups if you're playing Survivor. You have to learn 30 killers. Like it's a lot. So like. There is. I understand people who have a little bit of pride if they're like if they have like a hipster pick, you know, like my main in Street Fighter 6 is like a low tier character, and I don't like her because she's low tier. I like her because she's awesome.
Yeah.
That's Kimberly, if you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She's only low tier at the top bracket of gameplay, which I'm not at, so it doesn't really matter. Like I'm not good enough for her to even be considered low tier. And so I get why like people who are like, oh, I play twins and I'm proud that nobody plays twins. Like I get
why?
it. I understand where that comes from, but it shouldn't feel bad if suddenly people start liking the thing you like. Like
yeah, it's very hipster, isn't it? Like I've gotten that too because like I'll play against streamers. They're like, wow, you're really good at Singularity. Nobody plays this killer, and it's a good feeling because it feels like you've done something that nobody else really wants to do. But
yeah, and it's nice when people are like happy to see you. Like I'm always happy to see a Larry, or like a Larry, or like a Xenomorph or something. And it's nice to when you get that endgame chat and people are like, whether or not you win or lose, or whatever, people just have nice things to say because they're just excited to see a different killer than usual.
Yeah, not Wesker Blight.
Not Wesker or Blight or Huntress, and that's and I like Weskers and Blights and Huntress, but people get sick of them. I get it.
Yeah.
I get excited every time I see a Demogorgon.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, we love our Demodogs. So.
Demodoggo, yep. So yeah. Overall, like just the all-encompassing thoughts. Like as a console player, I'm appreciative for the change. Like I genuinely am, and I really hope that the people who are being very gatekeeping, very negative about the changes, I hope that they're not the loudest voices that behavior hears, and they go, okay, well we hear you, we're gonna revert the change, because then it feels
make them harder.
Yeah, it feels like that invalidates like my frustrations as a console player. Like it makes me feel like my voice doesn't matter. So that's another reason I'm doing this. Like I'm trying to put my voice out there. Damn it.
Yeah, we're talking about like the concept of like equity instead of equality.
Yeah,
like we're gonna bring up the lower ends who have more troubles. We're gonna help it make it easier for them. It doesn't really affect the people who are running the best PCs with the best equipment, the best monitors.
Yeah. Just being on a PC in general, like having a mouse, like it makes all the difference in playing Singularity, because I have played him on PC a little bit like before this, because like I said, I have both platforms, but my main platform is console. He feels he feels easy on PC already. Like I'm honestly like I don't but it's because I already have the fundamentals of the killer, right? Like I already know what I'm supposed to be doing, like I was saying before.
Yes, it's
The
just the
the
handling.
Yeah, so these changes they just kind of they make that similar. They gave me that similar feeling. And I really hope that they don't revert them. Um for the auto aim with the biopods, if we're gonna have to like sit here and have like a compromise, because what can you really do to adjust it where it doesn't feel terrible for both sides?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, I was thinking like just kind of throwing something at the wall and seeing what sticks. Maybe giving it like a range limit. So like you can only it only auto locks at the survivors within like 10 meters of the biopod or something like that. So that way you're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
getting those really like cheap shots where it flicks your camera around and you see somebody behind you like off in the corner. Like I feel like it
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like that would maybe be like a good compromise. I'd be happy with that, but I don't know how realistic that is to like actually put into the game.
Yeah, and that's something to consider, right? Like that would be good, like a limited auto aim.
Because at that point, you're only really using that tool for chase, which if you're playing with a mouse, you're already going to be doing that anyway. It just helps console players
Mm-hmm.
out. So, like 10 meters, like they have to be right in front of you. So it doesn't make a difference. Like, you
Yeah, you're
know,
not getting like it's not like carrying you if you're using like your long range angles. And it's not like you know doing your work for you essentially.
yeah. I mean, I'm fine with the changes the way they are, but like I said, maybe I'm biased as a console player. But if we're gonna have a compromise, I would do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But with all those topics out of the way, that pretty much covers everything in the patch notes. Was there any other thoughts that you had about just anything at all, add-ons, number changes, anything like that, quality of life stuff?
Uh, Not really. I think we pretty much covered everything. That was crazy. That was a good conversation.
It was very good. I love doing shit like this.
Yeah, man, we can do it again sometime for
Hell
sure.
yeah. Maybe we come back when the patch actually goes live and we can compare changes.
Yeah, yeah, because I don't think it'll be exactly the way we're seeing it right
No, I
now.
think there'll be some adjustments. It kind of seems like there's so many changes because they're throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I would love to talk again when the patch goes live, what changes, you know. Um, but yeah, overall, I'm very happy with the patch. I'm very happy with the changes. I don't think Larry needed them too much, but I'm appreciative of what we have.
Yeah, definitely in the same boat with you.
Alrighty. So if you don't have anything else that you'd like to add, I think we can wrap it up there.
Hell yeah! Well, it was nice talking. It was nice meeting you,
Yeah, it was
and
nice to
hope you
meet you
have a good
too.
rest of your day for sure.
You too.